That's better. Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully that's my. I actually had to plug in my good microphone for a second there.
That's better. Hey guys.
Right, I'm gonna send the invites out in a minute as well. But King should be joining us very shortly. That's it. I hope you guys are having a lovely Saturday night, everybody. And thank you for deciding to choose to spend it with us. Well, mostly me for the time being, but King will be here very shortly. I've brought drinks for this special occasion. It is Discount Capri Sun. Sadly, I've not got a couple of burgers. I can't be asked to buy some. I really should have done, given I've got 2 days off, but I'm a bit skint until I get paid again on Thursday. But let's say hi to the chat real quick. We have Ben here, Joey. Hi, Joey. Miles, nice to see you, mate, as always. Joe, nice to see you, sir. Jason Poland, the Shuckle, is here as well. Nice to see you, as always. And and Len, nice to see you as well, mate. Hope you guys are all having a lovely Saturday. You're absolutely stark raving bonkers to be spending it with us, but ugh. Oop. I'm having trouble like piercing a goddamn Capri Sun. Terrible. That's better. Hey guys, hope you guys are good. Just sharing the links around on social media and whatnot. And my mouse fell down my desk. We're off to a good start tonight, folks. I mean, really. And I'm already getting questions in. That's nice. You guys are way ahead of the curve. That's really good to know. 17 of you here already. That is mayhem. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. You people are crazy. Like, honestly, I love... Hi, Marcus. Yeah, trust me, I'm extremely spontaneous at these things. I did this basically on 2 hours' notice. I was like, Twitter, it's Saturday night and I'm bored. What can I do? Let's do a hangout. Sold! Talking to you guys is a good way of killing a couple of hours, trust me. Hey, Cam, nice to see you. Like, a lot of these guys are actually Patreon backers, believe it or not, and they're still just jumping in here because they can. You guys are masochists. Hey, Kelly. Andrew's here as well. Nice to see you, Andrew. Won't be around long, but I just celebrated my birthday a day early. Hipster. Have a good birthday for tomorrow, Brian. Live stream feedback. Get it? More conventional host. Eye candy is essential. Yeah, I thought that was actually quite funny. God, there's 24 of you in here. Holy shit. Yeah, I got it on Curious Cat. It's like feedback for the show. Like, I know it's just a troll. I know it's no one that's actually got that opinion. Like, let's have eye candy for a podcast. That totally makes sense. You know. Because when I listen to a podcast, I like to pretend that the host, quite frankly, is Angelina Jolie. Just with a nowhere near as nice voice. Sounds fair. I don't see how this possibly could be misinterpreted. But, yeah, I'd even read you the full statement because that's just how funny it was. Like, the feedback for my show, apparently, less in jokes, less geek humor, maybe get a more conventional-looking host. Like, where is the eye candy? Have you seen RJ? The man's got purple hair. It's beautiful. I could possibly complain on this. Like, less virtue signaling and white knighting. Yeah, sorry, we can't talk about grid girls unless we bring up rape gangs or something. Because that's the rules of the internet. You can't talk about macro, like, you can't talk about micro issues like grid girls in sport unless you talk about big things like Brexit or something. And And yeah, less political correctness, whatever the fuck that even means. But yeah, I just thought it was quite funny to bring that up because it's just people that are trolling like, oh yeah, we're going to pretend to be all anti-millennial. Go back to get a bunch of white folks and just talk about race results for half an hour. On a slightly serious note, with Motorsport 101, I take pride in being able to talk about things that aren't necessarily motorsport related. The fact that we can talk about issues that aren't necessarily motorsport related, that we can translate F1 into larger world problems. And I have no problem talking about things that, maybe more politically based, because that's the world we live in. Okay. Like, the only way, if you, people say, oh, stick to sports instead of talking about politics and whatnot, and I would always say in response to that, the only way to avoid politics in sport is to take a rocket to the moon or bury your head in the ground, because that's the only way you're avoiding it, okay? This is a show that has no problem going into those areas, and if you don't like that, then this show isn't for you. I've said that time and time again. Go find a podcast that's better suited to your needs, but it's not going to be here. I mean, I'm totally okay with that. But I will get some questions in a bit, I promise. Yeah, the stick to sports argument's kind of been dead for 3 years now, but it is what it is. Let's have a look at some of these questions here. Here for a good time, not a long time. Cheers. Hello, Svetlana. Nice to see you. More like ear candy, am I right? Yeah, very true, Miles. Now, the thing is like, people say, oh, I've got a lot of patience. Honestly, I have heard, 30 of you guys in here now. Fucking hell. No, honestly, the thing is like, people say, how do I put up with all the trolls and whatnot? Because I've seen it all before. There is nothing original that I've got on Curious Cat when it comes to trolls. I've had every word you could possibly imagine thrown under the sun thrown at me. I've had every relative argument brought up, for and against Lewis Hamilton when it comes to race, when it comes to any of his controversies in the past, like not paying his tax. I've heard it all before. I've heard every anti-Vettel argument you can think of. Remember, when I had Ask FM, I answered over 11,000 questions. 11,000. There's not much I haven't heard. For me, this is experience. So I'm not bothered by it. It does not bother me in the slightest anymore. It's water off a duck's back, believe it or not. Brennan is here. Nice to see you, man. If you want eye candy, check out the Jimmy Broadbent cursed image. And RJ does have magnificent hair. That is... Oh, and apparently Helio is cancelled because he went to the White House for a visit. Sigh. That was the one guy I was hoping would never do that, but Helio... that's a shame. Time to order pizza. Nice one, Andrew. Send me some pizza. Wait, is this a podcast or CNN? Man saying, Dre, you were great. Just keep on doing what you're doing. It's great to watch. Thank you, Ben. Much appreciated, mate. Even Football Manager has Brexit rules. Just leave me alone. That's a very good point. Also, I love that when that was brought up about my unconventional to my shoe collection was brought up. I have way too many shoes. If you have not seen my Instagram, go scrolling for it. There was a picture I had of every pair that I've got, and that was when I had 15, 16. I think I've now got 21. It's actually grown a lot more since then, and I'm probably getting the new Yeezys when they come out. They came out a couple of days ago, but I get paid again next week, and I'm probably going to pick those up too. Joey Vaughn asking, where do I think Reading will be? Honestly, I don't honestly, the thing with Redding is Redding kind of knows his MotoGP days are done. You tend to get one shot in MotoGP, and if you don't get it, you're not coming back. I don't see why he'd go down to Moto 2. It's a wasteland at the moment, and it's going to be open season for everybody, given given the fact that everyone's going to be on the Triumph engines next year, so it's basically a clean slate. I wouldn't want to be in Moto 2 right now if I could avoid it. Like, I heard he's been offered the Paul Berg gig at British Superbikes, and that would actually be a really good fit for him, especially if Shaky isn't coming back. I mean, a team of Scott Redding and Glenn Irwin is a really good team. So, like, why not go to Paul Bird if it came down to it? I think you're saying so many shoes, think you might have an addiction. Yes, I do. That and terrible Rubicon. No, that's the thing. I don't drink Rubicon anymore because Rubicon got rid of half its sugar. So I don't bother anymore. They got rid of half the sugar in its recipe because they had to adhere to the sugar tax that came out earlier this year. So I don't drink Rubicon anymore. Like, I still have a very good friend of mine that will drink Rubicon and then add sugar to it. What we got to do is buy the deluxe version. The deluxe version is the old recipe, and I don't mind taxing that. So stay woke when it comes to your Rubicon, kids. To be fair, Joey, like Shaky has said, he's not going to know until November if his neck's going to heal enough to ride again. I'm honest to God, I don't think he is going to ride again. But if he still wants to and the doctors clear it, I'm sure he'll try. But I'm not going to pretend like I know back and neck injuries and act like I'm some sort of doctor. I'm not. But he's put on his Instagram that he'll know in November whether it's going to heal enough or he can ride again. It's a long road. It's a bit like Robert Wickens, where like it's really great and all that he's in that neck brace and he's not paralyzed from the neck down, which is great to see he's on a bicycle and riding again. But when it comes to being in a race car again, that could be a different matter entirely. So I'd be careful on that one. I still like Snapple though, Svetlaz. I still like Snapple. Don't worry about that. Do I think Lorenzo will succeed with Repsol Honda? Yes, I think he will. It will probably take him a year because the general pattern seems to be 1 year to get used to the bike, and then the second year you start to find yourself. That's happened with him at Ducati. Let's be real here. By the time Lorenzo got really good in the Ducati, it was already too late. They were already moving on, and at the time they had to make a decision on him, Lorenzo still hadn't won a race for the team yet. He barely had a podium finish. I think he had 2 podiums for him by the time they got to that point where they had to make a decision between him and Petrucci. So Ducati had every right to get rid of Lorenzo at that point in time. He wasn't performing for him, and Dovizioso at the same time had taken over the team and was riding really, really well. So, I totally understand why Ducati wanted to cut bait with him at the time. But apparently the factory was kind of split on the whole thing. Like David Atar's Dozy was one of the guys that was vocally in Lorenzo's camp. So now it looks dumb, but silly seasons in MotoGP are really early. So they had to make a decision in May, and that's the decision they made. Petrix is a good rider, but I don't think he's going to be up there with Dovi challenging him for wins. I don't think he's that good, but, we'll have to wait and see. Henry asking, they have to be title favourites. Yeah, probably. Hazard. I mean, what's going to happen to Bournemouth Kawasaki after Hazard goes? Luke Mossy is not the guy he was 2 years ago. Mossy was winning races 2 years ago, and now he looks like just another midfielder. I don't know what's happened to Luke. His confidence must be shot. Maybe they give James Addison another call. Maybe they bring Peter Hickman back. Who knows? But it's not quite right for him, I'd say. And you're right as well, Joey. Andrew Irvin's improved a lot. He's done a very good job, Yes, Len, I did see Mentisevic's reaction to finding out he made the semis. That was hilarious. He just hugs Dan Lawson. That was brilliant. I love Mensa. He's such a lovely man. You know, do you think that KTM are improving? No. I would say they're about where they. I think they're actually a little bit worse than they were last year. KTM needs a bit more help. They were better last year when Pol Espargaro was knocking on the door of top tens. They're not doing that at the moment. They've not had a landmark result like that this season. I think they've actually stagnated a little bit more. As the field's gotten closer, it's kind of pushed KTM back out a little bit. It's a bit weird. Joe asking, I should say. I'm no MotoGP fan, but what the hell is happening at Yamaha right now? Honestly, it is weird. Long story short, their bike is fundamentally flawed in every way at the moment. They are generating no edge grip on their tires. Their electronics are mangled and not efficient enough. They're not generating enough acceleration off the corner like what Honda and Ducati are really, really good at. That's a big area they're lacking in right now. And yeah, when you combine all three of those things, not to mention a Yamaha factory team that doesn't quite know how to solve the problem, yeah, they are way behind. I mean, that was the first time since the qualifying format changed in 2013 that a Yamaha did not make Q2 automatically. Maverick Vinales did get into Q2 via Q1, but then was dropped 3 places anyway because he blocked Bradley Smith in Q2. So, also Q1, I should say. But Yamaha have now gone 22 straight races since their last win. That was Valentino Rossi at Assen last year. If you want to go back to Maverick Vinales, you're looking at 25 races since Yamaha have not won. If they don't win tomorrow, I believe it's their longest losing streak since they came into MotoGP back in the 70s. This is the worst dry spell that Yamaha has ever had, and they have a really good team in Rossi and Vinales. It is baffling that it's gotten that bad at the Yamaha. Like, they've not had a 23 race dry spell ever. I said it's going back to Assen last year. It's not good. I'm trying to get all these questions in, but I'm actually getting flooded a little bit here. It's actually really, really popular in the chat today. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you. Jason asking, let's assume Mercedes haven't yet signed Val's contract and Ocon is an option. Would they still stick with Bottas? Probably. Because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that Valtteri's been pretty unlucky this season. He should have won in China, no doubt about that. The timing of the safety car in that race completely screwed Vettel and Bottas in that Grand Prix. It would never have happened if the safety car had come out 15 seconds earlier and they would have had time to be able to come into the pits and stop. That safety car blatantly won the race for Red Bull more than anything else. Red Bull jumped on the opportunity that the two front runners could not take. So Vettel and Bottas were stranded, and then Vettel got taken out by Verstappen anyway. Fucking great. We all know about what happened in Baku. That was ridiculously unlucky. He probably should have won in Austria. Again, really unlucky. He didn't win that one either. He only missed out by a lap or two in Bahrain. So Bottas could have had 4 or 5 wins in an alternate universe. He's striving, he's had a bit of a slump in the last 2 or 3 rounds, but the first half of the season, he was fantastic. As much as I love Esteban Ocon, I can't justify putting him in over Valtteri at the moment. Valtteri's still very good. So, I can't get there on that one. I really can't. So yeah, I've seen the chat as well. Yamaha, a lot of McLaren comparisons in the chat. Yeah, basically. You got to remember as well, this is the point that Cam brought up. 2 years ago, MotoGP went to standardized electronics. So every bike in the field now has the exact same ECU. The problem with it wasn't really all that, objective, because the system, the ECUs they were all running was developed by Ducati. So if you want to wonder part of the reason why Ducati probably have the best bike in the field now in MotoGP, that's probably a big reason why. And Yamaha has struggled. Like, I find it amazing that when they announced this move in 2015, that Yamaha didn't put more into electronics, because that was going to be the kicker. If you've got spec ECUs and you don't know how to handle them properly, you're going to suck. And that is what's happened to Yamaha, because bad electronics affects every part of the bike. Acceleration, top speed, cornering speed, when you can put the throttle down off an apex, your apex speed, it affects everything. And Yamaha look awful at Aragon. Like, Zarco, Vinales, Rossi were all nowhere. Rossi started 18th. Sorry, actually, no, 17th now after penalties, because Maverick got punished 3 places and Frankie Morbidelli got a 6th place grid penalty for blocking as well. So it's still awful, though. Jesus. Let's have a look here. Bike has gone nowhere since 2017. Yeah, I think that's fair. Williams or bust for Ocon. I think he might miss 2019 and then come back the year after. Maybe send him out to Japan super form, and that seems to be the pattern these days, isn't it? So, it's a complaint, but it is what it is. Good question from Miles. Do you think Hamilton gets the credit he deserves on a general scale? For me, he should be compared to the likes of Mo Farah, etc., amongst the British sporting greats. Yeah, I'd say so. I agree with that. He should be knighted. He should be Sir Lewis Hamilton. I think he is the greatest British Formula One driver that's ever walked this earth, in my humble opinion. I don't think we as consumers of F1 care about it as much as we did maybe 20, 30 years ago, when we really looked at guys like Jim Clark and Jackie Stewart and Nigel Mansell as like top tier British athletes getting mainstream press coverage. You're right. I completely agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, with Lewis, his race is absolutely a factor in this. A lot of the mainstream media don't like young, successful black people. They just don't. Raheem Sterling's probably a prime example of that. Mo Farah was never taken all that seriously as a host. Has a black guy because obviously of Somalian background. A lot of people in this country, especially in London where I'm from, have quite negative stereotypes about Somalians as a race in general or as a country, which is a shame. And, we all took Farah seriously when he started winning. We didn't. We just thought he was another immigrant. Oh, look, it's another immigrant coming over and representing Great Britain. But Farah is one of our greatest athletes ever. Jessica Ennis-Hill is one of our greatest athletes ever. Like, the 2 guys in Britain that I don't think get enough credit sports-wise is Lewis Hamilton and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Ronnie O'Sullivan is like one of our greatest sportsmen ever, or by any question. And he single-handedly pretty much put snooker back on the map in the mid to late 2000s. And his comeback in 2012 was one of the greatest sporting achievements I've ever seen. Came out of nowhere, won the German Masters, won the world title, and destroyed everybody out of nowhere. Didn't even get nominated for Sports Personality of the Year that year, which I thought was a joke. But for me, yeah, Lewis Hamilton is one of the 3 or 4 greatest F1 drivers ever. We should be putting him on a plinth in this country. But because he's black, because he didn't pay his taxes, British people get really mad about people not paying their taxes. They buried Jimmy Carr for that a few years ago and whatnot. There's a lot of different factors at play, but Lewis needs to be in that real top tier transcendent star conversation, like a Roger Federer, a Federer, a Bolt, an O'Sullivan, a Tom Brady, that sort of level of athlete, quite frankly. But he doesn't, for a lot of reasons, and that's a shame, because I'm not going to pretend like I'm the biggest Lewis fan in the world, but his role in what F1 is right now is incredibly important, and it needs to be acknowledged, at least in my humble opinion. Let's have a look. Just checking the chat again real quick. Yeah, Knight Mario Walker, are you at it, please? Lewis is British, Marcus, in case you didn't know. If and when Lewis wins number 5, he should be a shoo-in for Sports Personality of the Year. It's not an Olympic year. Maybe AJ, if not him. Joshua's not a bad shout, but the thing is, I think people like Joshua, but they don't want to vote for him. Because Joshua was landslide favourite last year and Mo Farah won. And Jonathan Ray came second, which was the real shock. I had each way money on Jonathan Ray, and I actually cashed out on that. I was like, get in. I made 50 quid off that. I had Jonathan Ray at each way at 33 to 1. I was well happy with that. But no, I honestly think, like, I don't know. Like, Dina Asher-Smith might surprise some people because she had such a brilliant European Championships, and people like their track and field in this country. I looked at the betting odds. Geraint Thomas is favourite after winning the Tour de France, but this country doesn't really care about cycling. It just pretends to. Because if it did, Chris Froome would have won 2 or 3 of these by now. But they're not. And Geraint Thomas was legitimately a genuinely great story of him breaking out from the shadows of Team Sky and beating Chris Froome in his own game. I thought that was a great story. Joshua has been favourite a couple of years, has not won it. The people just don't vote for Joshua in the clutch. So my logic is it could be him. I wouldn't rule out Harry Kane or Jordan Pickford either, just as an outside shot. But I think people are sleeping on Dina Asher-Smith. Just saying. Jonty's Torner says the tax avoidance makes him ineligible for New Year honours for a minimum of 3 years after clean tax records. Huh. Fair enough. Didn't know that, Jonty. Nice one. Yeah, Harry Kane's a good shout. Yeah, I love Andy Murray, but if he's been knighted, so should Lewis. Yeah, he definitely will when the time comes. Absolutely. What about Phil Taylor? That's the thing. Phil Taylor was runner-up a few years ago. I am a bit of a nerd for Sports Personality of the Year. Phil Taylor did come second a few years ago. If anything, Rob Cross should have been nominated after winning the World Championship last year because that was arguably one of the greatest rookie years ever seen in sport. But again, I don't think people are invested in. I don't think enough people take darts seriously as a sport for a darts player to ever be that high again. Phil Taylor was again the one transcendent guy that darts had, and he only ever finished second one year. I'd like to see Jonathan Ray win it though. Like, I was glad he just made the shortlist last year, but to finish second was like, yes, bike racing, get in there. And he beat Lewis Hamilton in a popularity contest, mostly because Northern Ireland loves their bikes, but it all counts, right? Jay Ajayi, that's not a bad shout either, Joey. That is not a bad shout at all. It's a very good shout. Yeah, the Harry Kane Golden Boot argument is definitely one up there for sure. Squat up a little bit here. Joey saying, do you think any BSB riders will be in MotoGP in the future? Well, yeah, off the news that Jake Dixon's going to be in Moto2 next year. Maybe Bradley Ray. And I think Bradley Ray might be the last big tier prospect who could. Bradley Ray is a freakish talent for 21. He's really good. It just depends on what side of the fence Bradley wants to stick on, because he's never going to get a MotoGP job by being in the British Superbike Championship. He needs to go to Moto2 to realistically have a chance. But I'm not sure you want to be in Moto2, given how stacked that field is, and you need to be top 6 minimum to get a top-tier MotoGP opportunity. There isn't really another way to do it. Jonathan Ray had MotoGP offers, and he had to basically win 3 titles in a row before people started taking him even half seriously. And this is a guy who has raced in MotoGP as a wild card for Casey Stoner. So Bradley Ray is a possibility, but he might be the last guy left. That makes me, because Like, there's a couple of other good young riders in there, like Taron McKenzie, who is really good. Everybody else, I think, is a little bit too over the hill now in terms of age. Like, BSB is quite an older series now. Like, even guys like Peter Hickman's like 31 and Haslam's 35 and, Christian Idden's like 31. So, like, it's not bursting into the seams of young talent, but that series is getting gutted next year. No Haslam. Shaky possibly might be gone altogether. Jake Dixon, who's second in the championship right now, is gone. Josh Brooks and Taron McKenzie might be right up there for the title next year on the McCams team, so that could be interesting. Back to the chat. Yeah, I could see England winning Team of the Year. Could definitely see that. Him and Gareth Southgate getting special honours, which is amazing because only the England football team would be praised for making a semi-final. That's the most British thing of all time. But no, I think Mercedes should win Team of the Year. I mean, okay, they're a German manufacturer, but we all know the team's based in Brackley. It's as every bit as British as it is German, and why not? The team is still the best team in Formula One, and they are surviving what has been a solid challenge from Ferrari this year. So why not Mercedes? Just checking the chat. Scott Reddin is a BT Sport pundit. I don't think they pay enough, and I don't think he's retired yet. So he's Reddin wants to race. He's made it clear in his interviews he wants to race. He doesn't want to be a test rider, which is understandable. Remember, we forget Reddin is still only 26. Still got plenty of good years left in him. He came through to MotoGP as a 21-year-old. He was really young when he made his debut in the top flight, and he had a really good rookie season. Like, a part of me does genuinely feel bad for Reddin because he's had shit opportunities through most of his GP career. Like, joined MotoGP on a production Honda, got the satellite bike in the middle of Honda's worst periods in I think it was 2014 and 15, when the Honda is like the worst bike to be on if you're a rookie. The Mark VDS team was a one-bike team. It didn't have resources, and the production Honda, even the satellite one he got, was bad. Like, he went to Pramac, and the killer for his career is that he lost out to Petrucci in the battle for the GP17. Or was it 18? It was 18. It was 18. He lost that fight to Danilo for it, even though Danilo took Reddin out of the Grand Prix, and they still gave it to Danilo in the end. Like, that was what did Reddin in, and then obviously going to Aprilia, he didn't have a prayer. They treat their riders like dirt, and their team is a fucking mess. As we also saw what happened with Sam Lowe's last season when he was with that team. So I feel bad for Reddin. He's had shit opportunities for most of his GP career, and I think people forget he was this close to winning the Moto2 World Title in 2013. He was this close. But then he had that big crash at Phillip Island when the track was legitimately dangerous to the point where it was shredding tyres and you couldn't do more than 10 laps on them. Broke his wrist, and that was the end of his season, and Pol Espargaro won the title. I feel bad for Reddin, I really do. He's a bit of a loudmouth, but he's a genuinely talented rider. Ferrari for the Golden Cock. Might be Williams, to be fair. Yeah, Michael Laverty does double duty. That's still possible. But the thing is, BT Sports punditry team is kind of stacked. They have a shit ton of dudes there already. I mean, they have Hodgson, Toseland, Hewen. They have Ryder on occasion. If Ryder can be asked to fly out for a weekend, BT will take him on. Gavin Emmett is one of the best in the business. And they have Michael Laverty and Susie Perry. I know their rugby guy, what's his name? Craig Doyle. He's leaving at the end of the season to go back into rugby. He's doing rugby full-time for BT Sport next year. But they'll you're probably going to have Susie Perry as permanent anchor. But yeah, I mean, sure, it's possible, but they've got like a Lavity for that, as if they want a current rider with experience on there. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look here. But Ferrari has the fastest car, Dre. Don't get me started. Do you think United and Inter are two sides of the same coin? Both keep spending to try and win another title, and yet they seem to slip further away. Yeah, to a degree. I think Luciano Spalletti is a decent coach, but I mean, Inter are really throwing the house at this season. They signed a lot of solid players like Raja Nainggolan and you know, the other young Argentinian they brought in, and they've spent a lot of money this year, but they don't look any better than they did last year. I mean, they beat Tottenham midweek, which was a great result, but it also kind of exposed that Inter aren't really good enough to be talking about serious European honours just yet, or even winning their league, given that Juventus are a juggernaut, and then they've got the best pure forward on the planet in Cristiano Ronaldo. So they're not going to win a league title now. Juventus have got Ronaldo, not for at least another 2 or 3 years. Like, Ronaldo will probably end up scoring 30-plus goals anyway, because he scores in bunches. It's what he does. But I can see the similarities there. I mean, United have got all the tools in their squad to win the league, but is there any United player not named David De Gea that is playing at his maximum right now, or you feel like he's playing at his best? You don't get that impression about anyone else in the squad at the moment. Like maybe Luke Shaw, who's had a genuinely brilliant comeback, and David De Gea, and that's about it. Like, Pogba still blows hot and cold on occasion. Lukaku today was playing right wing for the majority of that game. And please, Alexis Sanchez is not a starter. Anthony Martial needs to start on the left wing. But I could get into United for the next half an hour, and I don't really want to. Also, by the way, for the guys who's asking, King is coming. He's coming back a bit late from work, but he is going to make it in. As soon as he gets back, he'll be here. He sent me that DM about 15 minutes ago, so he's on the way. So you know, that's nice. But so checking the chat here real quick. Would you rather drive the F2004 MP4 or the 2018 Ferrari? I would probably take the MP4 because that was one of the most dominant F1 cars ever, and I like how different it was. I like that it had stick shift, and I've seen Ayrton Senna drive it, and it's an incredible F1 car. It really is. Like some of his qualifying laps are genuinely brilliant. You know, so that's really, really cool. So yeah, I would take that. Ali sending me a message saying, "Is the t-shirt spread in the background on purpose, you humble bragger?" Yes. Yeah. I just thought it was a cool decoration because I've got a bit of a football shirt collection as well for those guys who don't know me. And I always end up buying almost every United kit every year because I like to make really silly fashion statements. So this is like my little wall of fame. Like, in case you can't see it there, that is last season's Zlatan kit. The number 10 there, because I thought that was pretty cool. That is the grey kit, our third kit from last season with Lukaku on the back, which I thought looked great. I love the whole City and Manchester thing on the front there, going for it. That is our away kit from 2 seasons ago with Paul Pogba on it. And, like, that is the 2008 Champions League kit that we had, celebrating the 40th anniversary of our first Champions League win with the second one with Ronaldo on the back. I've got, like, a ton more in my wardrobe I could show if you... Hang on, I might... Give me a sec. I'll show a few more off here. 1 second, fellas. Like, for example, I've got the Inter Milan. That's got the Sprite kit from a couple of years ago with a Cardi on the back. I don't wear it very often because it's a bit hard to colour match with that, but it's still a really cool kit. This is our away kit from this season. J-Ling's on the back, you know. Got a few more I can show off. Just got those armballs. I've got this a couple months ago. That's the PSG away kit with Kylian Mbappe on the back. I'm going to get the Jordan one for that real soon. There is the special commemorative United one from a couple of years ago for Wayne Rooney's 250th when he scored. He got up to 250. That was pretty cool. Got a lot of Barcelona shirts in here as well. So, you know, there's Lionel Messi from a couple of seasons back, number 10 for Barcelona. I got a Belgian one as well. Like baby blue is my favorite color, so any person I like that's got a baby blue kit, I'm going to end up snagging. There's Eden Hazard's for Belgium. I thought it was pretty cool. There's Thomas Müller on the back of this Bayern kit as well. A couple more just for the record. Couple more. Like, there's Ronaldo, the pink one from Real Madrid a couple of years back. Neymar, PSG from last season. So yeah, you get the gist. I've got about 19, 20 kits, so it's a bit of a problem. Fashion show bitches. Get a for lady kit. Shut up, Joe. Did you see Zlatan's karate goal against Toronto? Yes, I did. Friggin' brilliant goal. Also, you know how the British are with the final match, Century Fairy Tale, Cook will be another shout. That's a very good shout, Jonty. Definitely. Definitely. Fashion icon. I saw John McGinn's goal then. That was an amazing frigging goal. That was one of the best finishes I've ever seen. That was astonishingly good. You know, so yeah, brilliant stuff on that one. F1's merch collection flat caps. I've got a few of these actually. Hang on. I had them pulled out the other day. Hang on. You guys are getting an insight into my wardrobe. You guys are so lucky. Oh, God. Oh. I've got like 15, 20 of these too. Oh. I have so many of these, it's a problem. Because I used to, like, wear these all the time. Like, I used to wear like, the old school, like, Del Boy flat caps. And I kind of grew out of it a little bit. Because, like, somebody got me this as a leaving present when I used to work at Matalan. Just as you do. Got a few from a bunch of different sports. So this is I got New England Patriots right there, the silver one from a couple of years ago. I do have a Vettel cap, but it's the old school one, and I don't like it because it's too small. Like, it's a bit small and it's not a flat cap, so it makes my head look big. But I do have one. I just never wear it. And again, it's harder to put caps on with red. It's a bit weird. Like, Kimi Räikkönen has a flat cap design, but I don't want to wear Kimi Räikkönen merch. He's a bit of a twat. You know, another New England Patriots gig. I said, why would y'all get him started on flat caps? You know what happens. We're getting an inside look of Dre's base of operations. But yeah, there's another Patriots one. Got like 3 Marquez caps. So you got the American special he had. Got the shirt on as well at the same time. Matching look. Again, another Black Marquez one. 93 on the front. And this is the one you might have seen in some of my avatars. This is the one he got earlier. This is the Power Up one. He's wearing it at Aragon this weekend because he always breaks out the Power On merch for the Spanish rounds. So that's another one there. Got a Manchester United New Era one in red. Always goes well. Back in the days of Formula E, I got an Amlin Aguri cap signed by, I think it was Antonio Felix da Costa and Salvador Duran. I think that was their season 1 or season 2 team. Back when Amlin was giving away merchandise out the arse. So, you know, I've even got Formula E merchandise, technically speaking. This is one of the oldest ones I've got. I've got the old Red Bull Racing flat brim they've got. Very nice cap. Very nice.
I'm glad I showed up for the cap show.
Hello, King. Nice to see you, sir. But for some reason, the chat is disturbingly interested in like the clothes I keep. So you're here for the fashion show, King. You're welcome. You came right in the nick of time. So say hi to King, everybody, in the chat. He's here with us now for the next hour and a bit. You've missed all the fun stuff, like sports personality of the year speculation. Why don't we give Lewis Hamilton enough credit? Trolling my Curious Cat videos. That's always a fun time. Also, I've never wear this one anymore, but I really should. It's the Daniel Ricciardo American special from last year. Really nice cap, actually. A little bit too obnoxious with the whole America.
Yeah, it didn't age well.
A bit, and America. It's a bit too in your face, but I don't mind it. I might give it to Haley Mulch on Twitter or something. She'll probably get more use out of it than I do at this point. Got a few Hamilton ones as well. This is the Mexico special from last year, hence the green under brim. It's a great way of basically, slapping it. Oh, make the bottom bit green instead. Make it charge 40 quid for it. It's great. I got this as a freebie when I was in Brno. Somehow I don't wear it very often. Can't imagine why.
Is that the 46 on the side?
Of course it is. What did you think it was? But yeah, for the record, there is me in a Valentino Rossi cap. You're all welcome, internet.
Green cap it.
Somebody will. Somebody inevitably will. Who does? I've never been screen capped on the internet before. Curse you, Matt. So yeah, I got a few more here as well. Black Panther and all that fun stuff. I've lost my. I've got a Black Panther hoodie as well, but I've lost it. I need to find it. I think I might have left it at work one day. I've got a few more Hamilton ones here. Ones you've probably seen me wear at some point if you follow me on social media and whatnot. There's the American special from last year, the all-white get-up, which I thought was pretty neat. American under the top, very nice. One of my personal favourites. This one goes well with the River Island jacket. I've got the Canada special from last year with the checkerboard on the front, which I thought was quite cool. This was, I believe, the cap he wore when he tied Ayrton Senna's pole record last year. And he got the little replica helmet and then pretended to cry about it, even though he knew he was already going to get it. Because he doesn't have a good PR.
If you rewatch that video, the camera doesn't catch it well. But like when they unveil the helmet, he actually drops his cap and water bottle.
He's like, okay, to be fair, that was a nice touch. And probably my personal favorite in my collection is the denim Silverstone one from last year. British flag cap on the back. This one is awesome. Now, sadly, like there's a few more Hamilton ones I want to get, but they're going on eBay for really like silly money, like 70, 80 quid each for some of the rarer ones, like the Belgian cap, which is like silver and black, which is really cool. But I don't want to spend 80 quid on a cap. Like I can spend 80 quid on a shirt, but cap's
you can spend 80 quid on a holiday.
Yeah, like I think I'd be a bit too guilty for that one. But yeah, for those guys that have been asking, that is my cap collection. It is obscene. If you're asking, no, I don't wear them all. Like I wear about a quarter of these now on a regular basis. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. The chat is disgusted with me. Dear. Saying hi, King. King is here. Everyone's happy that King is here. Cam saying, don't ever call me a show off over my racing game skills again. Okay, Cam, point taken. Says, you need a Kimoa hat. No, I don't. Annie's saying a little bit obnoxious, the whole America Dre 2K18. Miles saying, you have Hamilton caps? Dre, you glory hunter. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, I guess.
Not wrong at all.
I'm on the wagon now, apparently. My only motorsport cap is a Toyota number 7. Says Jeff. Says they're not that they're allowed to win anything. No, they finally got Le Mans underneath them. Let's give them their due. I know it was only like a whole massive 1-car opposition, but hey, greatest Le Mans win ever, says Fernando. So it must be true. Apparently. I have no shame. I spent 30 quid on the entire box set of Friends. Kelly, that's nothing. Like, that's 10 seasons of Friends for 30 quid. Like, that's a bargain for, like, the greatest sitcom of all time. Like, if anyone holds that against you, I'm going to fight them on your behalf, Kelly. Seriously. Which many helmets do I have? Oh, God.
We'll be here all day.
I'm not going to go through all of them because they're a little bit of a mess, but I'm just going to turn my camera around for just a second and you'll see what I mean. Up there is the majority of them. You could probably see that's the Fernando Indy 500 one up there. There's Schumacher's 20th anniversary in the gold. That's Hamilton's from 2015. Felipe Massa in what we thought was going to be his last race for Williams was up there. Jenson Button from Silverstone a couple of years ago in tribute to his dad. He had the pink helmet for the year. There's Vettel's from Abu Dhabi 2010. Rosberg's in the middle in there somewhere, going dust in the back. There's a yellow one there. That's Jenson Button's last race in Abu Dhabi. Again, so we thought. That is over there. And then on the far left, there's Schumacher's for his 300th race. There's also, on my table here, all the Vettel replicas I've got. The Japan one on the far right, that's Japan 2011 from when he won his second world title. That's Ferrari 2017. The gold one in the middle is the one from Germany 2013. I think to this day his only win on home soil. Behind that to the right, I'm trying to remember which one it is now. That's the Singapore 2013 one, I think, there. Or 2012, the one that was meant to glow in the dark with the LEDs, which quickly got banned. The blue one nearest to me is Australia 2013 and the Multi-21 helmet. Then you've got Korea 2011 in the middle, and then Japan, I think, 2011 on the far left. And I've got one more as well. Ooh, that's my... You see there, that is my Vettel 2017 there on the corner because I just ran out of room. Can you imagine I'm running out of places to hold this stuff? Like, it's a lot. It is a lot, but I like to collect things. I always have.
Admittedly, I'm very humble. I'll show off my one prized motorsport possession. Go get it.
Oh, King, yeah, Stephen, good man. Mum's boyfriend. You know, one most possession. I thought you were going to unzip your jeans for a second there.
Oh my god! So I don't think it's going to show up well on the camera, but I have.
Oh yes,
yeah, the diecast signed by Ryan Hunter-Ray of his car from last year that I got as a gift from DHL.
Fun fact: we nearly made that a podcast segment last year. Like a great big game of like we were going to do a live unboxing.
So I think you could see his signature right there.
Yeah, beautiful. We were going to have a live unboxing for this on the podcast, then we realized a podcast for a live unboxing doesn't really work.
Yeah, it's trying to display something visual in an audio format.
Needs more eye candy, apparently. Who'd have thought it? But question is, how am I, like Tiff asking me, how are you not poor, Dre? Fair question. Fair question. I live in London. My mum is very generous with the board, and I have a lot of disposable income. Guilty. Guilty is charged. And trust me, I don't even make all that much when it comes to working at William Hill. Trust me on this. Like, if I'll say it because I could be leaving them very soon. Fingers crossed. I've got a Paddy Power interview on Tuesday, but I make 19 grand a year as a manager, which is managerial wise is shit. In this country, most office jobs start at like 22, so you know it's not great, to say the least. But hey, it is what it is. That's the bookies for you. When they've got 5,000 managers, they're not going to pay them all a ton of money, unfortunately. Joe saying, you spent 90 quid on a Jack Miller snapback and t-shirt. Okay, I want to hear in the chat, like, your most obnoxious motorsport-related purchase. Just for shits and giggles.
It's like, I have made, like, no memorabilia purchases. Everything I have, I've gotten for free. The only things I've bought were books.
You see what happens here, kids? He goes on the podcast. He's now getting freebies off his name. You're going to be on Rule the Grid next season, King. I've used my name to get free stuff.
Whoa! I have not been like, hey, I do this thing, give me free stuff. I just enter the contest and win, Dre.
It works. It got me a holiday. Just saying, it does work on occasion. Oh dear. But don't ask me to show off the shoe collection. We'll be here. We really will be here all night. Trust me on that. But let's see. What do we got here? A 118 Ferrari F138 diecast. Nice. Signed Cal Crutchlow snapback. Neat. Killer Clutch is 115 quid on the Napa 2016 Chase Elliott jacket. Whew, that is obnoxious. Well played. I paid a whole £5 on a pink shirt for a John Button party, says Tiff. World class, Tiff. That's brilliant. I didn't get it, but I was ready to drop $6,500 on a 2007 Repsol Nicky Hayden Title Edition CBR 1000. I've seen those. They are beautiful. The old 2006 Repsol Honda with the Nicky Hayden on it. $6,500, as you do. Like, Cam, why aren't you Patreon backing us for a lot more than $10 if you can drop $6,500 on a bike? I want answers.
Trey, maybe we're just not worth it, Trey. Maybe we're just not worth it.
Clearly not. We're kidding. Please don't unsubscribe. Sad saying, where did you get them from? Because I want to buy a Felipe Massa one. Regarding the mini helmets, your best bet is diecastracemodels.com. I know the guy who runs that place, David Westwood, is a friend. He's a great guy. He's got the best finger on the pulse with contacts for Schumacher and Bell, who make a lot of these replicas. Get a hold of him. Follow his website. They'll give you updates. A lot of exclusive little projects as well. Like there's a signed David Coulthard collection coming out very soon. There's a Mark Blundell replica coming out soon that they've commissioned on for the website themselves. So there's a lot of cool things on that by following that website, and you get little extra deals every once in a while if you're on the mailing list. So I highly recommend Diecast Race Models if you want to be in touch with that. If not, there's a brilliant Facebook group on this as well called I think it's called the F1. I can put it on my Facebook page right now. Actually, I'll tell you, it is called the Formula One Group / Half Scale Helmets. I'll put the URL in the chat real quick. They are a great group, over 1,000 members. They're proper helmet collecting enthusiasts. Sometimes they'll sell them, and they'll sell them for well below market value. And of course, eBay is always a half decent chance as well. But the majority I get that new are from DRM, but I've slowed down on that in the last year or so because I've kind of bought a shitload of shoes instead. So yeah, that's a fun one for you. Let's have a look here. Bought a Williams polo shirt in their end of season sale earlier this year. They need every penny now. Stroll's money is going next year. Well played, Len.
Oh, did you guys talk about the Sky deal yet?
What Sky do you... Oh, Comcast are buying Sky, aren't they?
Yeah, Comcast are buying Sky for £30 million. 30 billion pounds.
I was like, wait a minute, did you forget a few zeros on that, King? I was like,
they outbid Rupert Murdoch for Sky.
Murdoch loses something. Okay.
Acting like Comcast is a great company, Trey.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They also own NBC, so...
Yeah, that's always fun.
Even though, oh god, I still remember when Comcast bought NBC, there was a whole storyline on 30 Rock parodying it, basically they just played it out played it as straight as it could be of how ridiculous this was, that a cable company was buying a TV network, and they were like, what are we gonna rename Comcast? We're just gonna call it Cable Town. Cable with a K.
Oh, for God's sake. Really? Thank God Comcast have got it. Need to get the Murdochs out of our media.
You're acting like Comcast is so much better.
It's like the slightly lesser of two evils here, but hey. I love that directly above that comment is Cam saying in capital letters, Comcast is the devil. Parodied here, people. Len saying 30 billion and Simon Lazenby will still be lead anchor next season.
Hey, Simon Lazenby is probably going to be lead anchor for NBC's Premier League coverage soon. I mean, probably Simon Lazenby is probably just going to be like the face of F1 in America. They're just going to buy NBC's just going to buy the rights back and just hire this guy too.
The man is about as exciting as a cheese sandwich, and he's going to be the face of F1 in the market they're most desperately trying to crack. Like, Jesus Christ. May the good Lord help us all. Few more expenditure questions in the chat saying, if you've got the cash, check out Memento exclusives. Yes, I have seen this, Jonty. That is a lot for some of their gear. Oh yeah, you could buy a Mercedes coffee table using an actual wheel rim for $6,000 or something. If you've got more money than sense. Oh dear. Let's see. Quick look in here. My dad spent over $4,000 on a new bike not that long ago. $4,000. To be fair, you can get a lot of bike for $4,000 in this country. Yeah. So, powerful performance and whatnot. I mean, yeah, jeez. 750 quid for a Force India engine cover ain't too bad. No, to be fair, that's not terrible.
I don't know what you're doing with the engine cover, but okay.
Just screw it into the wall or something. That always works. Just have it up there as a really obnoxious thing. Thing is, imagine having a dinner party and then having to explain that. You're going to look like such a fucking boffin. It's like, oh, here's my Force India engine cover on the wall. And the first thing they're going to ask is, oh, it's pink. You're not going to get a second date if that's what you're showing off to your missus. Well, probably anyway.
No, Dre, I'm going to need some explanations for stuff that happened this morning while I was at work. What was MotoGP qualifying?
Oh God, it was a hot mess. Moto3 was awful.
Because I've seen clips, and I've read this one quote from Jorge Lorenzo, which is insane, where he says, quote, because in MotoGP we have big bikes and theoretically the best ones are in MotoGP. The ones that are more expensive, the ones with more experience, the older ones. In my opinion, they don't need to wait to have a toe to improve lap times. But today in qualifying, basically he says it was like a Moto3 race or the Tour de France.
It's a peloton. Great. No. For context, it was particularly bad in MotoGP. I've complained about this being a problem in Moto3 for years. And for those of you guys that aren't bike fans, bear with me on this one. Moto3 has about 34, 35 entries. On a lot of tracks, it's hard to get a clean stretch of road because in qualifying, everybody goes at the same time. It's one straight 40-minute session.
And like the 125cc motors are so underpowered. They're ridiculously underpowered.
Yeah, they're 250cc now, but they still only have about 60 horsepower, and top speed is maybe 130, 140 miles an hour tops. So it's hard to get it. I think is because of that reason alone, on tracks that have bigger home straights like Mugello, particularly Aragon. Aragon is probably one of the worst of the bunch of this because it's got an enormous 1.1 kilometer long back straight down the back, basically. The penultimate corner before it, there is a 1.1 kilometer downhill straight. Kind of says it all. A toe down that back straight and a Moto3 bike is worth half a second. I'm not even joking. That's how strong the toe is. Like Marco Bezzecchi set a brilliant qualifying lap in Moto3 on his own, was on pole for about 30 seconds. Jorge Martin did a lap that was half a second quicker, and it knocked Bezzecchi down to 7th by the time the big chasing pack went over the line. It was crazy.
Watching the clips I saw, it was like a NASCAR plate race or like literally the Tour de France where like it looked like they were racing, but no one wanted to be in front. So it was like they all knew that if we stay in a pack, we'll go faster. But it was so weird and so dangerous because everyone's trying to take the fastest line, but not be in front.
Yeah, there was a crash between two teammates during that quarterfinal session in Moto3. Like, the two teammates hit each other. I think Nati Arita was one of the two guys involved in that, where two teammates hit each other and they both crashed trying to get a toe off somebody else. Like I said, Bezzecchi did a brilliant lap on his own and ended up finishing 7th, half a second off Jorge Martin, who, by the way, is absolutely ridiculous. Is 19th Moto3 pole position. He'll be starting from pole tomorrow. And again, he was half a second faster than anybody else because he was brilliant and he had a toe at the end. And again, it was particularly bad in MotoGP. It is an Aragon problem where there's a lot of high speed or medium speed for GP bikes corners out there where a toe genuinely is beneficial. Again, especially on the back straight, because even in the more powerful bikes where a slipstream doesn't make as much difference, it's still worth 2 to 3 tenths. So everybody was looking for a toe on the back straight. Marquez was caught in, like, he was in hot water because he was directly in front of Andrea Dovizioso, who was obviously his main title rival behind him, but he himself was trying to get a toe off the back of, I think it was Cal Crutchlow at the same time. So everyone was jostling for toes. Crutchlow just ended up gunning it down the back straight. Maverick Vinales blocked Bradley Smith in Q1, so he got 3-place grid penalty. He's starting, I think, now from 14th tomorrow. Frankie Morbidelli pushed Bradley onto a curb, so he got a 6th-place grid penalty. He's starting, I think, from like 19th or 20th tomorrow now as a result of that one. And Marquez basically lost his hot lap. He had 2 red splits through the first half of the lap, but was basically tripped up because Dovi had to pass Carol Abraham on track down by, ironically, the brand new Marquez corner, turn 10, starting sector 3. Marquez almost lost the front trying to get out of the way of Abraham and Dovizioso, and he lost his qualifying lap. Dovi comes behind him. Dovi beats Marquez's time to go on pole, and then Lorenzo, who was able to get a bit of clear air further back, Lorenzo goes pole instead. So it's Lorenzo's 3rd pole position in a row. He'll be starting Aragon tomorrow from pole ahead of Dovi and Marquez on the front row. But it's not so much a format problem. It's mostly an Aragon problem. It's a track where getting a toe is so important that teammates will literally kill each other trying to get it, and you can't set a good lap time out there on your own because you will not be on pole. Marquez had more raw speed than anyone else out there today, but he missed out due to a Dovi toe and Lorenzo getting clear air in front of him.
But like at that point, it's down to being a safety issue because like Formula One, they're fine with group qualifying; they could do that. IndyCar, they specifically only do it on the road courses because they know group qualifying on ovals would be ridiculously unsafe.
No, never going to happen. Not in a million years. I mean, yeah, it is a safety problem. Like I said, the rolling theme with Moto3 has been basically, Dorna's basically gone out of their way to, they've put a rule in saying you cannot tour on the racing line in a qualifying session period. You've got to be off the racing line if you're going to tour around looking for a tow. You can't complete any sector outside of 110% slower than your best in that session. Otherwise, you will be flagged for blocking, basically. And they've upped the penalties for blocking. It used to be maximum 3 grid places, but they upped it to 6, up to 12 now. Niccolo Antonelli got a 12-place grid penalty for blocking in FP3. Not even qualifying, FP3 yesterday. So Antonelli got 12 places for that now. Like, Race Direction are now going as far as to say we have no problem sending people to the back of the grid, or even maybe a pit lane start if this keeps happening, basically. Because they're not listening. This keeps happening. It happens every other weekend.
Because I know what they probably want to do. They would probably want to head to what IndyCar does on road, what IndyCar and Formula E both do on road course, to make sure there's enough space, split everyone up into groups and send them out separately. But I can see why that's an issue, because there's only a certain amount of time on the schedule for the day, and you can't have that many groups and still have all the classes run qualifying.
But this is the same sport that has a 4th free practice session just for MotoGP for half an hour before qualifying even starts.
That's true.
Yeah, if they really wanted to have a safer qualifying session and split Moto3 into 2 20-minute sessions, they could without much difficulty. They really could. Dorna are the undisputed kings of basically shithousing their way through a Grand Prix and figuring out a way for people to race. Unless it's Silverstone. But
they did it to themselves.
Yeah, that one was more their fault, but still, if Dorna wanted to find a way to split Moto3 into 2 sessions, they easily could. They could take 10 minutes out of MotoGP FP4, and that would solve the problem right there. Have 2 20-minute sessions with a 10-minute break in between. Draw lots before to see who gets in who gets into which pool, and go from there. It wouldn't take a lot to fix the problem. You'd still get touring and you'd still get Dorna, but you'd also have a much greater chance of people having their own stretch of track, because, as I said, Moto3 is like a 35 bike field. So, and some tracks literally just can't handle. Like, look at the Saxon Ring. It's a 1 minute 30 lap, even on Moto3 bikes, and you've got 35 dudes out there trying to find a stretch of tarmac. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's ridiculous, and someone is going to get seriously hurt one day in one of these accidents. We're very lucky we've not had a major injury off one of these just yet, but it's going to happen if this keeps up. It's terrible, and I wish they would do something about it. I mean, Miles saying, what if there's different weather conditions in 2 20-minute slots? Well, tough. You know, that's just racing for you sometimes. Like, you know, I'd rather have that than what we got in Brno and then what we got here. Because, like, in Brno, they spent so much time dawdling. Half the field came over the line to start their final hot laps after time had already expired. Yeah, it was a joke.
Pretty much, like, the argument against groups, you still have the same issues now, where it's a coin toss on whether you're gonna get a clean lap or not.
Exactly. And that was, like, honestly, I was in the box for Brno. We pissed ourselves. I mean, wait, they're coming out onto the track now, and there's like 2 minutes 30 to go, and it's a 2-minute lap at full racing speed. We were like, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. And then we saw, as time ran out, we saw 15 bikes come past the stop-finish line. I was like, they all missed it. They all missed the cut. Yeah, we had the live timing in our box, and we saw it. I mean, we saw finish line symbols next to half through, and we were like, and we all just pissed ourselves because Jakob Kornfeld ended up on pole, and that got a huge pop because obviously Jakob Kornfeld is a hometown hero. He literally lives just down the road from Brno. So the home fans went absolutely bananas when they found out Kornfeld was on pole and John McPhee was in second. We were all like, "Oh shit, Kornfeld's on pole! It's lit!" The biggest pop of the weekend that wasn't in yellow. It was hilarious. But, yeah, you know. It's one of those...
I'm assuming you guys already talked about Thursday night before I got here.
What Thursday night is this?
last Thursday night, Dre?
I'm having a brain fart moment. Remind me here.
In Cleveland. Last Thursday night in Cleveland.
We have not, actually.
Oh, my God.
So, gang, remind the world which football team you support again.
The New York Jets.
And which football team just gave Cleveland their first victory in 635 days?
The New York Jets.
All I need now is another urinating tree video ripping the Jets to shreds. That's all I need.
Oh, my God.
Now.
That video's going to come. It's going to come.
The first one was hilarious enough when it's like they see the kid in the Jets uniform and it says pictured child abuse. So I was like, I saw that. No. I'll be fair to you, King. I'm going to give you a minor pass because I know it was your third game in 11 days. Like, the schedule would not been kind to you on that one.
But it was just like sheer incompetence at most points of the game. Like, I'll never forget that last drive where literally the first set of downs, we get to like, oh, it's 4th and 10. Oh, we're just going to punt it and lose the game, right? No, we're going for it. We convert on 4th and 10.
Yeah, Curse makes a brilliant catch. I did see that. Like, Jermaine Curse pulled that one of the catches of the year so far. To keep
then the next play, we throw an interception, and the game's over.
Unlock the fridges. The Cleveland Browns have finally won. Oh, dear. See, the thing is, we joke was the famous joke for last year was that Brother Ryan had a tenner at 100 to 1 odds that Cleveland would go 0-16, and he actually hit it, and he won £1,000 off that bet, which was friggin' amazing that he won $1,000 off that. So we all did it this year in this house. We only got 50 to 1 odds. With a £20 maximum stake, and we were like, "Okay, let's give it another go." Of course, week 1 they draw to the Steelers, and it's shit. Week 1, a tie.
You should have went. You should have went for the win. You should have been. They get 1 win.
That's the thing, though. The Browns should be 3-0. That's the scary thing. They had chances to win all 3 of these games.
Honestly, if they played Baker like the whole season, it would have been a different story. The team was a completely different team when they put Baker Mayfield on the field.
They were G'd up for it. Then, like, Miles...
the entire team was excited that Baker was in the game.
Yeah, honestly, like, the whole team was just pepped up with Baker being on the field. Like, the guy's a bit of a fire starter in the sense of, like, he just makes the guys around him play better.
They had that first drive where first snap, they get a first down. Second snap, they get a first down. Third snap, they fumble the ball. One of the linemen picks it up and runs fucking 9 yards. But then it gets called back because of that BS rule that the team that fumbled the ball can only advance it if the guy who fumbled it recovered it. So, only Baker could advance the ball. Which, again, I'm a Jets fan. I'm like, that rule's BS.
That was terrible. If a linesman picks up the ball and he's got a clear pop, you think he's not going to run it? Yeah. Of course he's going to run. No, but also Baker's dance moves, top notch, top notch dance moves. He's basically like at this point, Baker is invited to the cookout. At this point, Baker is in, okay? Any man that can dance like that and can destroy Colin Cowherd on his own show gets a spot on the cookout, quite frankly. God bless you, Baker Mayfield.
Admittedly, the Jets deserve that after how we played the first quarter when we went up 14-0, and literally after the first touchdown, the touchdown celebration of the year, where it's like, oh, you're just going to wipe your butt with the ball? Okay.
Was that? I didn't see it. Was that flagged for unsportsmanlike?
Yeah, it was flagged. It was flagged.
Of course it was.
People joked that it was flagged for the third wipe. 2 would have been fine, but 3 was
fine. You're allowed 2 arse wipes. You cannot have a third. That's the rules. It's in the rule book. That is brilliant. See the chat real quick saying Baker Mayfield, what a legend. 1-1-1. I said Cleveland about 6 times. Miles, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the Jets. Zoe saying, "Oi, snatching defeat from victory is Scotland's thing." So it's like, and Skip Bayless nutted harder than KD's game 3 in the finals. Very true.
Skip Bayless hates Baker Mayfield.
He does, because he's just a cocky white boy, and no one likes cocky white boys. That's just how it is. It's the rules. Like Colin Cowherd tried to rinse him on his show earlier this year, and Baker had receipts. Like, and you can see, like, Baker could see right away. It was like, you're just trying to make up like I'm some sort of selfish player and some sort of
they were trying to make him look like he was Johnny Football 2.0.
Yeah, and he hates any and all comparisons to Johnny Manziel, and rightly so. He's not that. He clearly is not that. He's not had any, like, the most trouble Baker had before getting to the NFL was grabbing his crotch when he was playing for Oklahoma. Like, that's as far as it goes.
Yeah. And then, like, during the game, I looked it up because I'm like, oh, what's Johnny Manziel doing nowadays? Like, oh, he's a bench quarterback in the CFL.
Just because
he actually can't play.
No, man can't throw a football. Hey, it could be worse. He could be Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow playing minor league baseball.
Marcus saying, "Are you going to watch the AJ fight?" And I'm like, well, I'm a bit busy at the moment. He set the fight in actually about 10 minutes' time. He's actually meant to fight the other guy because that's how it feels like. I work for a bookies that directly sponsors Anthony Joshua now, to the point where he's now actually a brand ambassador for William Hill. So they've been shoving that Joshua fight down our throats, like, pretty much the last 2 weeks. Joshua's 1-9 to win that fight. So don't expect any really major upsets. Joshua on points, most likely, as people have asked me about that. Joshua on points, if you ask me. But you can get 3-1 on, I think. So, have a look at that when you get a chance. Joey's saying, what's your predictions for MotoGP for tomorrow? Moto3 is a crapshoot, mostly because of that back straight. Like, anyone that tries to predict that is on crack. Basically, whoever leads going into the final corner will probably win, and even then it's not guaranteed because you can take 3 different lines through that final corner. And I don't think anyone's going to replicate what Joan Mir did last year when he started weaving like a freaking country skier.
Like it was the Indy 500.
Weaving back and forth on that final straight, trying to block himself, which actually worked because he won the race. He was allowed to keep the win, but then you had to take a 6-space grid penalty for the flyaways for dangerous riding, basically. But he was allowed to keep the win, which I thought was quite funny. But Moto2, who's on pole for Moto? Oh, it was Brad Binder, of course.
Yeah, Binder's on pole.
Oh, please win, Binder. That would be lovely.
Please win, Binder.
Come on, Binder. We love Brad Binder on this show. We've had him on Bike Live in the past, in our previous life. King stands KTM, and I gave him a fist bump in Brno. So we're all team Brad Binder here on 101. So let's go, Brad Binder. Get that second class victory, I should say, because he won the Saxon Ring earlier this year. Let's go, Brad Binder. MotoGP, I think it will still be Marquez to win tomorrow. He's very good at Aragon. He's won here the last 2 years. He's super fast around here. He loves any and all anti-clockwise circuits because he's a dirt tracker by trade. So, anything where you're turning left most of the time, he tends to go quite well at. I think it could very well be a carbon copy of last year. I think Lorenzo could easily get the whole shot and lead the first few laps. And I think Marquez will peg him in the second half. That's what I think will happen. I do warn you, though, if Ducati end up winning this one on a Marquez track, look out for next year. Sound the alarms. Like, as Lewis has pointed out on Bike Live, you could pencil Dovi in for title favourite next year if Ducati are starting to win at places they shouldn't win. And this is one of those places.
It could be finally coming home.
An Italian bike winning a world title. The dream that not even Valentino Rossi could pull off. But But for what it's listen. Ducati will build a statue of Dovizioso outside their factory in Bologna if he wins them a world title. They love that man. They love that man like an adopted child. They love him more than they loved Casey Stoner, who actually did win them a world title. Like, trust me, they love Dovi. Every time Dovi wins, it's Dovi from the Ducati boys in the garage. When Lorenzo wins, it's all like, yay, Lorenzo wins. Nobody loves Lorenzo. They just don't like him as much as they do Dovi. And, you know, when he won at Mugello last year, it was the first of the 6 he had last year. He got a standing ovation back at the factory, and everyone was just shouting Dovi. They adore him in that factory. So pencil Dovi in for title favorite next year if Ducati can win this weekend. You heard it here first. And Dovi is a Sunday man anyway, so look out for him. If he wins tomorrow, it would not surprise me in the slightest. You know, but I still think Marquez will win. But the thing is, don't be surprised if he doesn't, because Marquez doesn't need to win another round this year. He just doesn't. He's got a 70-point lead in hand now. He can afford to wind it down. The scary thing is, though, if he wins and Dovi finishes third or lower, he will actually have a championship point in Thailand in 2 weeks' time, where he can mathematically wrap it up in Thailand. Oh boy. And that apparently is going to be a Honda track. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, Marquez will always be title favorite for me. He's that good. He could have 7 world titles. He's probably going to have 7 world titles in all competitions, and he's 25. He's 26 in February. It's terrifying how good he is. It is utterly terrifying. And he's entertaining, and he's likable, and he's never had any PR disaster whatsoever besides being kicked off his bike. Hello, King's family. Like, no, Mum, I can explain why those calls are 150 a minute. I don't think you heard that line, folks.
Heard what?
Oh, nothing. All I may have said was when you were turned to look at the door was, Mum, I can explain why those calls are 150 a minute.
Oh, dear.
Saying here, back in the days when Bike Live had a high downforce aero package. See what I did there? Yes, I do. I see what you did there. Let's not speak about the downforce days. Like nobody's Johnson predicts, I normally have like a half an hour segment where I rant about behind the scenes stuff. I'm trying to avoid that this time round. Maybe. But yeah. Less said about that, the better.
I know we're going to talk about this on the show in detail next week, but yeah, there are rumors going around about that second seat at Dale Coyne going to a certain Formula One driver.
Stoffel season 2, Stoffel harder.
Stoffel with the side of Sebastian Bourdais.
Spicy. It's interesting. I mean, we'll again, for those guys that don't know, episode 162 next week will be a full IndyCar season review, mostly because there's no F1 to talk about. But so, hey, for one review IndyCar season, and yes, the story came up that it looks like Dale Coyne are sniffing for potential F1 guys that aren't going to be on the grid next year. Stoffel top of the list, apparently. Esteban Ocon, as well as a potentially Ruben name that's been circled around for potential IndyCar drives. And
yeah,
I guess, I mean...
Well, apparently Dale Coyne has said that because of what happened in Pocono, it's becoming a much harder set. IndyCars suddenly, despite, becoming the place to be, quickly became a harder sell for foreign drivers. Because they want to. They don't care about how dangerous Indianapolis is, but a lot of questions come up saying like, why would I want to be doing this in front of a crowd of like 24,000 people?
Yeah, the series does still have like popularity problems, especially given they're coming from F1, which is the juggernaut in terms of European motorsport coverage, of course, and we all know that in America, IndyCar plays second, sometimes third fiddle to NASCAR and F1. So it is a problem. But if you're Stoffel, what else have you got here? Because it's looking more obvious that Toro Rosso are not going to take another junior on. It looks like, I mean, they've all but confirmed Kvyat's coming back for a third bout of Stockholm Syndrome next year. I think Hartley may end up keeping his gig in the end, even though they tried to shop him halfway through this season already, thinking they could get Lando Norris for a year. I mean, Toro Rosso looks all but taken. Sauber are taken now because they're going to have Kimi Räikkönen's rotting corpse next year, and that just leaves one seat left, and that's most likely Williams, because it's looking like Sirotkin's going to stay. The question is, who replaces Stroll if he really is leaving?
And we're hitting that point where it's becoming, I would say, the door is closing more and more on Fernando actually coming to IndyCar full-time next year.
It's looking like he's just going to do the 500 again. It's looking like
that he's not coming.
Oh, no. No threat. What do we do? Yeah, it's looking like behind the smiles in the PR piece video about him testing at Barber, apparently Fernando wasn't actually all that excited about driving the IndyCar on an actual road course. The
IndyCar is, compared to an F1 car, is much slower.
Much slower, much more physically conducive because of the lack of power steering as well. So it's not as appealing as they think.
And there's a lack of options.
Yeah.
And especially after the Harding-Steinbrenner deal, there's very few options for Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, there's almost no seats left. Like, it's been very quiet in terms of IndyCar silly season talk. It's looking like Felix Rosenqvist is probably going to replace Ed Jones at Chip. And that really seems to be about it. Like, SPM, obviously, they're going to have to run somebody different in the 6 car, assuming Robert Wickens is not going to be back in time for March, which is probably quite likely given the state of him, poor guy. Although Sam Schmidt has said that seat is there for Robert when he comes back, if he comes back. But that number 6 is reserved for him, basically.
Yeah, and pretty much Honda has vetoed Fernando driving any Honda-powered car.
Ooh,
and
wow,
yeah, and
that's brilliant.
Yeah. And if he were to drive a Chevy car, it wouldn't be able to be supported by Andretti in any way because Chevrolet does not want Andretti to get any insider knowledge on their equipment.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, I mean, there's not a lot of forecasted moves going on in IndyCar by the looks of it. It looks like Andretti. Why would Andretti change? Their 4 cars were all pretty solid this year. Like, they had 3 of their drivers in the top 10 of the championship. Rossi was runner-up. Hunter Ray was 4th, his best season since he won the title in 2012. Marco was 9th or joint 8th with Graham Rahal, depending on how you want to look at the maths. And Zach Veach was impressive at the end of last season. So why would Andretti change anybody out? Like they had a very good season, all told. They had a slightly better year than Penske had on paper because we expected Penske to win the title and they didn't. But they had the 500. So hey, Roger's still happy probably because he finally got another 500 and Will Power finally got his, which was nice. But SPM, Hinch is obviously staying for next year, and Wickens' seat will be replaced by somebody as a filler, maybe Carlos Munoz.
And it's like, if they run a new car, where are they going to get staff from? Because Harding Steinbrenner, most of like the expanded staff to run a second car is actually from Andretti's Indy Lights program. That actually, the engineers for Pato and Colton Herta just moving up with them. Like,
right.
You're not going to pull experienced guys out of nowhere.
It's probably while Dale Coyne is the only team that's come up, because Dale Coyne are probably the only team left who could realistically run another car.
Yeah, because they have a second seat that's open, and he's toyed with the idea of running a third.
So yeah, it's obvious that maybe Trevor Carlin as well, because Carlin, I mean,
Carlin is also hitting at running a third car.
Yeah, but they've already got 2 of their guys confirmed in Kimball and Chilton for next year anyway. So we'll have to wait and see. But Coyne is tempted to run 3 cars next year. Basically, second seat goes to the highest bidder, like it's always been with Dale Coyne for a couple of years now. Maybe Santino Ferrucci, maybe Zachary Clackery. Who knows? They could split it with Pietro Fittipaldi as well. There's names in the mix there, but I don't see Stoffel being on IndyCar's grid for next year. I can't see it. I can't get there. Like, I can't imagine Stoffel wanting to jump ship over there so quick and just give up on F1 so quickly. I can't get there. I don't think he's Alex Rossi, who never had a good opportunity in F1 anyway, and knew the door was shut for good, because compared to Stoffel, who everyone knows he's really good. He just needs the right seat. And why is no one lining up for Stoffel? Why?
Because no one's got seats, Dre. No one's got seats.
There will be a Dre brief on this next week, because I've got next week off work. So I've got plenty of free time to kill, but there will be a Dre brief talking about this, because Stoffel Vandoorne and Esteban Ocon not being on next year's grid will be a fucking travesty.
I forgot where I saw it. I think the team principal over at Racing Point, Otmar Safnauer, said yeah, this is clearly a sign we don't have enough seats, guys.
If Esteban Ocon, one of the most consistently and excellently talented midfielders who only just turned 22 this week, can't get a seat in F1, it is fundamentally screwed. Okay, Pascal Wehrlein, Esteban Ocon, and Stoffel Vandoorne have all dropped out in the last 2 years. Mercedes,
actually, Pascal has nothing for next year.
Nothing. The man was the youngest ever DTM champion 3 years ago.
And because of circumstances in DTM, he's out of a DTM ride next year with no team going to sign him.
With Merckx leaving and BMW already committing that they're not going to sign anyone from Mercedes' former employment. So Pascal's got nothing, which for a kid that young, still only 24 years old, and still he did not put a foot wrong in his F1 career. He did everything right. And got shit on. He was better than Marcus Ericsson the year he was at Sauber. And he came back from that awful neck injury he had at Race of Champions. We all thought he was faking.
Who thought he was faking?
Well, remember, there was a lot of backlash towards Pascal.
Why are you sitting out? Just man up and do it.
Yeah, and then people realized, oh wait, he was the hospital pictures came out, and it was there's him in a giant friggin' neck brace. With Sebastian Vettel feeding him chicken nuggets. It's so infuriating. But I'm sorry for neglecting you, chat, but I'm going to have a quick run through some of these here. Zoe stuffing on pancakes, etc. I heard Coyne was in talks with Stoffel. Vandoorne to Formula E. A part of me wishes Hazel was here. I'm sure she'd probably say something along the lines of, yeah, he'd be great in Formula E, but no one's got seats. Again,
no one's got seats.
I mean, Nissan just sniped Alex Albon, and that is a hell of a steal. Holy shit. I looked at that and I was like, damn, well done, Nissan. I did not see that one coming. That they're able to snag Alex Albon, who is more than good enough to be in F1, quite frankly. Yeah, I mean, Joe, you would be the first guy to point it out as well. Ed Jones going to Carlin if they ran a third car would certainly make a lot of sense for obvious reasons. Carlin expanding. Looks like they're going to have 3 cars. They're going to bring back their Indy Lights team as well. So Trevor Carlin's going all in on this American expansion. So that could be interesting. Going to WEC. God, don't. And nobody mentioned 3-car teams. Otherwise, I will have to fight somebody.
Well,
Len, I'm looking at you.
Formula E still has a decent amount of seats left.
That's true.
So, one place where Pascal could land in Formula E would be HWA. They operated Mercedes DTM cars. So if they wanted, like, it's pretty much down to if he would be interested or not. Mahindra don't have anyone signed yet for this upcoming season.
There's a thought. There is definitely a thought.
At the new Virgin Audi team, Sam Bird doesn't have a teammate.
That's true. There's seats. There is seats out there. So yeah, keep off an eye on FE, I suppose. Is they're saying Van Dorn hasn't done much in F1 to deserve his seat. Even Vettel has done more than him. Disagree. He got McLaren's first point of the season 2 years ago when Alonso was injured. It's hard to stand out in a midfield team going backwards with Fernando Alonso as a teammate. How are you meant to stand out in that scenario? Like, half of you motherfuckers still insist that Fernando Alonso is the best driver on the planet, undisputedly without question. If that's the case, by your own proxy, how on earth is Stoffel meant to stand out?
Yeah, because there's like, under that logic, there's no way Stoffel Van Dorn would ever be anywhere close to Fernando Alonso, even if Stoffel was a great driver himself.
And Fernando has said it himself. Stoffel has been a better teammate against Fernando than a lot of people will make out. They looked at the numbers. And let's not forget, Stoffel had a car with a cracked chassis, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, to the point where Fernando's like, something's wrong with Stoffel's car. You guys need to look at it.
Fernando's coming out and saying this. The quote-unquote bad team leader is saying, look at your man's car. Like, Jesus. I can't say any more than that. Joey's saying, Toto just can't manage young drivers. Well, to be fair, Toto doesn't have quite the same level of resources that Red Bull and Ferrari do. At this point, Sauber's been completely obedient to Ferrari, to the point where Motorsport was reporting last week that Sauber were waiting for the call on Ferrari as whether they wanted to run Antonio Giovinazzi in their car next year. So Sauber are holding out to see what Ferrari want to do, basically. So Ferrari, if they want, they can put Gio in that Sauber next year. And we all know Red Bull's got a second team. And I said it last week on Twitter. If Merckx can't get Williams and Force India to be quote unquote more obedient and get their drivers in their seats, what's the point of the academy?
Yeah,
it's regardless.
The thing is that Red Bull has always had, even outside of Toro Rosso, outside of F1, they've always had places where they could place drivers, because people forget that Christian Horner owns his own pretty much single-seater junior empire with Arden International. They don't really run in. They pulled out of GP3 recently, GP2, but they still run in the lower series. Like right now they're running Jack Doohan in British Formula 4. They still have the Euro Cup, the Euro Cup Formula Renault 2.0 team. Like, they have places where they could put drivers. Mercedes doesn't have that kind of infrastructure where they could always have a place to put a driver.
Yeah, they don't have the tools to get Force India and Williams to automatically just take one of their drivers on. And especially now with Force India being owned by one Lawrence Stroll and consortium. So like,
Red Bull could place a driver in a team free of charge. If Mercedes wanted to do the same thing, they would have to pay tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Or tell a team, hey, we'll cover your engine bill for the year, like Ferrari was going to do with Jules Bianchi at Sauber before he had his tragic accidents.
Even though that's still selling an engine at a loss of tens of millions of dollars. Yeah.
It's still worth tens of millions of dollars to put that guy in your seat. And Merckx don't want to do that, and they don't want to buy a second team out either. Toto said earlier this week it doesn't make commercial sense for them to buy a second team. So, yeah, Mercedes, you're going to have to take this L, I'm afraid, because you can't force them to take on Ocon or take on George Russell or anyone like that. So I beg to say, if you can't get him in an F1 seat at a young age, what is the point of your academy?
Because, what Mercedes used to do, which is not an option anymore, is put young drivers in DTM, because that was like they're quick enough. There's enough media coverage for them to get media training. But like now with that, like all of that's gone now.
Yeah, breaking news. Anthony Joshua wins via knockout.
Oh, Dre, you said it would be on points. You said it would be on points.
Joshua wins by KO in round 7. So, yeah, all you Joshua fans out there, another win and another world title for him. Congratulations to AJ. KO'd Povetkin in round 7. Thanks for the guys on the update on that one. Much appreciated. Saves me having to watch it now. Well played, everybody. So I just thought I'd drop that one in there. So, yeah, if you guys are watching us instead of watching that fight, well done. There's still 30 of you in here. It's crazy. Like, we've had 30 for like the last hour and 3/4. It's been fantastic. So thanks everyone who's been sticking around for all this time. But yeah, Anthony Joshua wins over Povetkin, a round 7 knockout. Congrats to AJ on that one. AJ really is the man. And
yeah, please unify the heavyweight championship, please. Someone get
Deontay Wilder on the phone immediately. Tell them to get him off that Tyson Fury fight, and let's get the fight that we actually want to see. Just saying.
Like, I'm not a big boxing fan, but it would really help if boxing had one heavyweight champion.
Yeah, rather than 15. Let's go to the chat again real quick. In a few years for J. Howard, DD sounds like it's going to be a feeder for SPM from where I sit. That could be interesting, Andrew. Or Tiff saying, talking about him not being in a seat, saying, just like Montoya's tennis injury, yeah? That's a great throwback. Jeez. Yeah, not much else in there at the moment. Yeah, feel free, guys. If you want to send me and King questions, don't necessarily have to be... That's have to be racing related. But yeah, anyone who's watching us instead of the Joshua fight, I salute you.
Yeah, now Anthony Joshua holds 3 of the 4 major heavyweight championships.
Oh dear, but yeah. Yeah, again, send any questions in. We got another. Let's go till 11:30, 11:15. Parents are going to sleep soon, so let's say 11:15. So another half hour, folks. Okay.
Okay.
So another half hour. Send us your shit. That'd be really great. Also, I've just seen Sofa Racer on Twitter put out a picture of a caravan with a giant branded 46 on the side, and now I'm going to puke. But yeah, send in your shit. I don't know if Brennan isn't here yet. His mate's playing Overwatch. Well, fair enough. Joey asking, do you think Jameis Winston will play, or will Fitzmagic Patrick play for the rest of the year for the Buccaneers? Here's the difficult thing. We've seen this story with Fitzpatrick before, where he comes out of the gate on fire and then he inevitably will shit the bed down the road. It's why his days as a starting quarterback are probably done. But Winston is a hot mess. He's a PR disaster, and he's not a good deep passer. Because the difference between Fitz and Winston is Fitz can hit Deshaun Jackson. Winston can't, and that's a problem. He's not a good deep ball thrower, Winston, and that is an issue that they're going to have to resolve if they want to go far. But they can't play Fitz the whole year, can they? We know how this story ends. We've seen it before.
I know how this story ends.
You mean that time the Jets were 10-5 and needed one more Fitz win to get them into the playoffs, and they lost and like, I actually genuinely felt bad for King that year because the Jets went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs. And Fitz crapped the bed against Buffalo. Buffalo on that Week 17 game that would have got him in. Oh, the pain.
But the thing is, like, I'm looking at this article literally put out literally put out yesterday by 5:38, and it has a graph of their completion percentage at every distance.
Yeah.
It's literally Jameis Winston is better than Fitzpatrick all the way up to 30 yards. Then it just switches.
Fitz is better on the deep ball. He just is. But
the thing is, Winston is better at literally at every other distance.
I know. And that's the craziest thing about it. Fitz, they can't play Fitz. They can't do it. Even if he looks like Conor McGregor's adopted older brother, they can't do that.
Oh, Dre, I should tell you what the headline of this story is.
Go on.
Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick. No, that's it. That's the headline of the story.
Let's cut to the chase here. No bullshit. Let's have a quick look here. Hey guys, and I do have a question. What are your thoughts of Ferrari and Toro Rosso speaking to Mick Schumacher to try and get him into F1? Says Alex Southgate. So that's the thing. Mick Schumacher won again in Austria this weekend, and he's now
win again because he has pole for race 2.
Yeah, that's pole for race 2 tomorrow. He's now won 7 out of his last 11 Formula 3 races, and as RJ pointed out on Twitter earlier today, if he wins the European Formula 3 title, he is eligible for a super license.
Actually, all he has to do is come third, and he'll still have enough to be eligible. If he wins, he'll have 10 more points than needed.
Well then,
because I'm still not 100% sure about one aspect of the super license rules, because the reason why he would have enough points is because he finished second place in 2 different Formula 4 championships last year.
Mm-hmm. So apparently he's eligible if he gets top 3. So
yeah,
hey, there's going to be teams backing up the wagon to get a Schumacher in their car. He's a PR person's wet dream at this point.
Pretty much, and he's fast. It's even if he didn't have his last name, people would still be giving him a look in. I don't know if it would be that heavy, but he would still have some eyes on him.
Formula 2 for 1 year makes a lot more sense here, because again, there's not a lot of F1 seats available, and I don't think a team's going to bend over backwards for Mick Schumacher just yet, but they're going to want to put dibs on it.
I think we've reached the point where teams are not that patient anymore. Literally the week before, Ferrari maybe should just let Charles Leclerc stay at Sauber for 1 more year, or maybe go to Haas for a year. Nope, big team.
Let's not forget, Charles Leclerc is the youngest Ferrari driver now in 58 years. And they had to do it because Red Bull just bumped up Pierre Gasly. They've 2 of the big 3 now has a 22-year-old or younger in one of their seats.
But the thing is, Gasly has so much experience, though.
Oh, he does. Formula 2, Super Formula, and now he's going to be year 2.5 in an F1 car next year when he joins Red Bull. He's done a season and a half in F1 already, which is a big deal. So, bikers are outside. Lovely.
Yeah.
But I think 1 year of Mick in Formula 2, and I think there's going to be every factory seat out there is going to be trying to line up to get their grubby mitts on it.
But I think anytime I hear wait a year or go to Formula 2, I know the drivers aren't thinking that, because it's going to be you see that in college football and college basketball, where it's maybe just stay in school for 1 year or go pro now. But then that question's if I stay another year, I could have a bad year and then people won't want me.
Yeah. So, hey, if an F1 seat comes knocking, of course Mick's going to take it, because why wouldn't you? But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Prima has now literally won 4 of the last 5 Formula 3 titles. Why do other teams even try at this point? I think that's quite funny. The old case of Michael asking, should F1 have customer cars?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, please. That'd be great. That'd be really great. I would love for F1 to have customer cars.
So I would keep it highly controlled. Like if you're selling an F1 car, you can't have a team entered in the sport. Like because again, you don't want a situation where everyone has to run Mercedes because the Mercedes is the best car. If you're gonna have a customer car, it has to be literally off the shelf. It can't be run by a factory team. There can't be a factory Dallara team.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. If you want to solve the participation crisis, that could be one way around it. I know a lot of teams have come out and said that they would run an F1 car if customer cars were a thing. Prima is one of those teams. Andretti has been open in saying that they would love to. Yeah, EDAMs have said, hey, if we could buy a car off the shelf, we'd be in F1. And if the price was obviously right, they'd love to be in F1. Oh, and maybe having single car entries would probably help that situation as well. Just throwing that out there. Having to run 2 cars in a sport right now that gives you no prize money until year 3 probably doesn't help either.
That's so good. No prize money until your 3rd season.
And they wonder why F1 is so uninvestable at the moment. It's ludicrously expensive. You probably have to buy somebody else's team to even get your foot in the door in the first place.
Yeah, because that's the only way you get prize money right out the gate.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you're not, no prize money till year 3. Fantastic. Brilliant. Haas have got to this point where they could be 4th in the constructors by the end of the season with no lateral prize money since they got here. That is a hell of an effort. And if anything, we don't give him enough credit for that one, really.
Yeah, because out the gate, Gene Haas said it himself. Yeah, I'm gonna burn $100 million a year.
Not the good guys. They actually have some resources. Because a lot of people compare it to Force India, and Force India ain't got $100 million to burn a year.
Well, Force India didn't. Well, Force India didn't have to deal with that when they entered the sport because they bought a team. Racing Point. I don't know how it's going to work out because Haas were obviously against that idea of, well, Racing Point Force India is technically a new team, so they have to wait 2 years, right? And they're like, no, but it's like, we had to wait, but it's like, well, we just don't want to. That's literally their only reasoning about why they want to give Force India prize money early, because of course, they obviously don't want Force India to fail, but again, if you buy a Formula 1 team, you kind of have to expect that to come up in the cost if you enter mid-season.
Yeah, exactly, for that reason. Zoe's saying, does Colton Herta being the first 2000s born driver in F1 or IndyCar making anyone else feel old? Thanks, Zoe, who turns 30 next year.
Oh my God, just blowing her spot up. Well, if, let's say, Mick gets into F1 next year, Mick will have been born in 1999.
Phew! Thank God! 99, just like Lando Norris. Brilliant. Oh, God, we're getting dangerously close to that point. It's terrifying.
I'm pretty sure his younger cousin David Schumacher would probably be the first driver born in the 2000s.
Fun times. Let's have a look here. Saying, oh yeah. Jay Vaughn saying Mark VDS isn't on the entry list for MotoGP for next season. Yeah, that's a bit of a confusing situation, but long story short, Mark VDS, literally the Mark VDS, Mark van der Straten, who owns the team, got into a massive tiff with team manager Michael Bartolome earlier this year. Basically accusations of money laundering and siphoning off funds. And it was on the brink of going to court. Bartolome stood down from the team. I think it was after Le Mans earlier this season, where they stood down. They were going to have a one-bike team next year with probably Alex Marquez on it next season, but that had to be curtailed for one big problem. Mark van der Straten doesn't own the team's grid slots for MotoGP. Michael Bartolomei does. So Bartolomei was like, well, if I'm going out at a team, I'm taking with me. And he sold his 2 grid slot entries to the new Petronas Yamaha team, or Petrobras backed Yamaha team that's starting up next season with Frankie Morbidelli and Fabio Quartararo on it. That's Michael Bartolomei's grid slots. So he's now going to be, I think, a consultant for this new team that was formerly the Angel Nieto team, the team that has Karen Abraham and Alvaro Bautista. That's been split up. Karen Abraham is confirmed at Avintia next year, most likely with Tito Rabat. Not been quite confirmed yet, but everyone kind of knows it's going to be Rabat there next year with Karen Abraham. And as we know, Morbidelli and Quartararo will be on that Yamaha-backed bike. Morbidelli will get a 2019 Yamaha right out of the box. Quartararo gets the 2018 Yamaha, so good luck with that one, Fabio, quite frankly. And Alvaro Bautista is going to World Superbikes to join Ducati alongside Chaz Davis, which is bound to be fun. A proper MotoGP rider in World Superbikes. Excellent.
So, Dre, want to play a fun game of over-under?
Sure, why not?
So, David Schumacher, son of Rolf, 2017, German karting champion, championship runner-up. Currently in German Formula 4.
Yeah.
Over-under, was he born before or after 9/11?
Before or after 9/11? So 9/11 was September the 11th, 2001. So I'm going to say before.
After. David Schumacher was born on October 23rd, 2001.
Fucking hell. October 01? Not even 2000? October 01? So he's 17 next month. Oh my God, I feel this. That's yeah. A couple of guys in the chat said Arthur. So shout out to Jason and Squiffany there. Hi Tiff. Who both said over and guessed correctly. Well, well done, guys. Marcus is back. Hi, Marcus. Nice to see you again, mate. Says staying there. Bautista is the Nico Hulkenberg of MotoGP. If you put him on the new Ducati, he will do brilliantly. No, I agree. I think Bautista is a damn solid rider. And he's a guy that was cracking top sixes on last year's Ducati at the Saxon Ring. He was beating guys on the GP18 like Jack Miller and Danilo Petrucci. Bautista's an excellent bike rider he's criminally underrated and has been in MotoGP for quite some time. The only risky thing is that Ducati are running their brand new V4 Panigale in World Superbikes next year for the first time. It's a bike that will still be in development. I think it's why they had to give Chaz Davis a bit of a bonus on his salary because, hey, it might be a write-off next year, depending on how well the bike is out of the box. And we all know what the big problem in World Superbikes is right now. Apparently, Jonathan Rea isn't charismatic enough. Alongside him winning basically 12 races a year. So I think it'll be great. I think he'll give Chaz a good run for his money. I think Bautista's an excellent bike rider. So I think it's a great coup for World Superbikes. I really do. I hope he doesn't just go in there and take the title and walk over everybody because he wouldn't be the first MotoGP guy to do that like Carlos Checa and Max Biaggi did in the past. But, it's not a good sign for Worlds when Max Biaggi won a world title over there at 41 years old. We've come a long way since then. How do you think I feel, dude, says John T's Corner. Max was born 2 years after I left school. Says 26-year-old Dre. Yeah, I turned 26 last month for those guys who don't know. So, yeah, and King's almost exactly a year younger than me. So, and we're the two younger guys on the show. RJ is 28, I think, next month. And when Zoe was on the show, Zoe's 28 right now. So, Yeah, it's we're getting up there now, but we're still relatively young in the grand scheme of things. Just don't tell Hazel; she'll kill me. You'll be seeing a lot more of her on the podcast when Formula E kicks up again. God, that's December, isn't it, for season 5, right? King? I mean, it's December, isn't it, for Formula E?
Yes, December. It's actually, I think, the first weekend of December, because testing is a big gap between testing at the start of the season. Testing is actually October 12th through the 16th.
As Zoe reminds me in the chat, 29 ... I'm so sorry. Says, if you have any young endurance racing guest, I'm your man. Yes, Cam, I would love to have you on at some point. I still owe Big Mac an appearance as well. I promised Ben McPhillips for formerly of Downforce USA I'd get him a spot on the show after we met up at Autosport back in January. Never got around to that one. Whoops. We've kind of cut down on guests this year. You may or may not have noticed. It's kind of our bad, really. It's
talking about. We literally had guests for like the past 3 weeks.
Okay, but it's not really guests when they're more like semi-regular contributors at this point, King. Okay? Getting technical up in here. All right? And yes, Chris will be back on next week's show for the IndyCar season review as well. So if you're into your IndyCar, give that one a listen. Before Joe set on Discord and nags me for the 15th time about getting more guests, get more guests, etc. Saying, still getting ID'd though. Well, aren't you lucky? You should be honored you're getting ID'd at 29 years old. It means you've got a baby face on you. Be grateful for that. And the older you get, the more you'll be grateful for it. So, you know.
Just for anyone wondering, the Formula E season will kick off in Saudi Arabia December 15th.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yep. Well, it improves things because there's a lot. There's the gaps between races in the calendar are going to be much smaller this time around.
That's true. That's certainly helpful.
Because right now it's looking like we'd have 1 race in December, 2 races in January, 1 race in February, 2 races in March, 2 races in April, 2 races in May, 1 race in June, and then the season finale in July.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the gap, it's like a weekend off, then they're back racing, weekend off, then they're back racing.
Oh, dear. I'm just watching this Joshua finish real quick on Twitter. Doing the Lord's work here. Oh, God, that's a nasty one. Oh, no. He stumbled. No, ref, you got to call that. Hey. Don't tell me he's letting him continue. Did let him continue after that? Wow. I'm not sure that was a good idea, ref. Oh, no. Yep. Ref stops it. Yeah, that's right. They shouldn't have continued that after the first one. He was out after the first one. Oh, well, good finish, Joshua. Yes, Kelly, I am jealous of the fact Kelly, you're a year older than I am, and you look like you're 5 years younger than me. Jesus, I'm jealous of that. You lucky sod. I did not know you were 27, though, Kelly. That is a surprise to me.
Yeah, also, that is news to me.
27. Wow, Christ. Also, guys that don't know in the chat, Kelly used British Pokemon 1991, which I should have probably guessed now. The 1991's in the username that you're 27. She's our #1 listener. Like, I have the SoundCloud stats to pull this up. Like, and I'll close the show with this because some of the numbers I thought were quite funny here. Looking back on some of these numbers here, like some of the stats have make for interesting reading about where we're coming from and who's listening to us, and it also has like top listeners for accounts. It's crazy.
Yeah, so for people who listen with a SoundCloud account.
Yeah, exactly. Kelly is at the top of our list with 780 plays. Now, for the record, we've only put out, was it 230 shows? Like 160 M101s, 161 now, because Pancake Stack went up yesterday.
Yeah, I forget how the stats work, but usually, like, say, you listen to about 15 minutes of the show and then stop and then come back later to listen to the rest, they'll count it as more than one play.
Yeah. But even so, like, we've done, 80 bike lives? We've done 79 bike lives, 161 M101s. So I make that 240 shows. so that's... Kelly, you are awesome. You are a legend, and we love you. Like, we love you so much because you're always there. And don't think it doesn't go unnoticed, because it does. It really does. Akeem Bristol second on 701, and third on the list, our friend and yours, Lofty himself, Danny Brennan on 407, which I think is a great touch. So Danny, the man, the myth, the legend. Tyler Small, I chat with a lot on Twitter. Hi, Tyler, 286. He's fifth on the list. Brian Glennon's in there in the top 10 on 227, which is pretty cool as well. Chris Cook is in there in ninth place on 229 as well, which is pretty neat. Our video editor, Nor the Dragons, in there in 17th on 139. Some cool guys there. I see you in there, Jeff. I'm Free GTR, 24th on 120. Nice touch. Great to see. Great to see. Mahiri, I see you in there as well. 65. Great stuff. Charles asking top listeners by country, which is always interesting. UK at the top of the pile, just over the United States. UK just over 31,000 plays. The US second on 29,305. So the UK is top of the pile. The US is just behind in second. Ireland the third. The Irish, we're big in Ireland.
It's all Danny. It's all Danny. It's all Danny.
Danny makes up like almost 10% of all of Ireland's plays.
Well, I assume other people in Ireland listen too.
Yeah, I know Kevin Walsh is a big listener of ours out there. I know he's Irish, and hi Kevin, if you're watching. He loves Bike Live. He listens to every Bike Live. I know he always tweets me after the show goes out as well. So, shout out to Big Kev. I know he's out there. But yeah, Brennan makes up almost 10% of all of Ireland's plays. Like, he really does. Like 400 plus out of 4407. So almost 10%. The Aussies are fourth on 3640. So hi Australia. The Canadians are fifth, 2,300 and so. Germany sixth, 1.7k. That's probably all of King's Rosberg fans out there that have all chipped in. That's probably why it's not moved in the last year or so. The Dutch are seventh, just over 1,500, which is quite cool. The Dutch are up there. Indonesia, eighth. Must be for Bike Live. Has to be for Bike Live. The Indonesians, their bike's that part of the world, would make sense. Norway, ninth. Norway. So Fizzy's been spreading the word. And Poland rounds off the top 10 on just over 700. Other countries in the top 20: Singapore, Greece, France 13th, Japan 14th. Then Brazil, Italy, Spain, Croatia, Sweden, New Zealand in 20th, Jamaica 21st, above the Belgians. Love it.
Yeah.
So the Jamaicans are tuning in. Hi, Jamaica. We're all behind you. Like, if you want, it goes one further. You can go by city as well, which is
by city. Oh my god!
Yeah, London top of the pile, 2,300. So London, number one city. San Francisco, California, second. Believe it or not.
I think it's Cam.
Yeah, just second. Southend on Sea for the UK is third, which is crazy. Fourth place, San Jose, California. 1,500 place from there. So
why are we so popular on the West Coast?
Alex Lynn, she spread the word. All the California lot out there. Ashburn, Virginia, I think is fifth on that pile. Sixth is Dublin. You got Irish City sixth and seventh. So yeah, Dublin sixth. Kildare in Ireland is seventh, just under 1,000 plays from there. Milton Keynes, home of Red Bull, is eighth. which is great. Jakarta in Indonesia is 9th, and Dorchester for the UK is in 10th place. For cities, Northampton 11th, Boulder in Colombia is 12th there, I think. What state code is CO again, King? Help me out here.
Wait, what? Colorado?
Colorado. Yeah, thought so. So, yeah. The Weedheads love us in 12th place there, which is always good to know. Las Vegas.
Get high and listen to Motorsport 101.
Get high and listen to M101. Now, there is a phrase I can get behind. Christian Horner listens to the show, confirmed, says Las Vegas is 13th on the list there. Las Vegas, Nevada. Montreal in 14th. That's a great city to have there. Eugene in Oregon, number 15.
Why are we so popular out west?
I don't know. The West Coast of America loves us. It's crazy. As Joey points out, Toronto 16th. Yeah, Toronto is 16th on the list. Ahead of Birmingham in the UK. Birmingham, as the Americans would say. In 17th. Singapore, 18th, mentioned again there. What area code is CA? CA, King?
California.
Mountain View, California, 19th.
Why are we so popular on the West Coast?
The West Coast loves us. They really do. It's like, are these all the places in America, the places Connors have listened to the pod whilst going to races?
No, it can't be.
I don't get it. And then Far Rockaway, New York is 20th.
Someone in New York City is listening to the show. I'm scared.
King, you have locals.
No.
Spread the word. King, you need to be doing meet and greets.
London's the most popular city, right?
This is true. And I know, like, Henry, who backs us, he lives just down the road from me in Ealing. And I know Vic does as well, the Rainmeister. He lives in Hounslow, which is like 50 minutes from me. I really should organise something regarding that. Athens in Greece is 22nd. We're big in Athens. We're big in Athens. 2 to 40. Derby, Uckfield, Glasgow, 25th. So the Scots are listening. That's probably your Zoe. Waterford, Poznan in Poland. That might be Jason. Poznan in Poland there, 27th on the list. That's fun.
Watch him just come up and be like, "Nah, it's not me."
Nottingham 30th on the list. I've got family up there. I know Keddy's from Nottingham, but only 327 plays. Portsmouth in the UK, 347. That's 29th on the list. Is VA Virginia, King, for an area?
It's Virginia.
Yeah, Alexandria is 28th on the list.
Yeah, that's basically a suburb of DC.
Okay, Islington 33rd, Ayr, United Kingdom, Bedford, Kilkenny in Ireland, Tokyo, Japan 38th. Somebody asked me about Melbourne on the chat. Melbourne are 40th. They're in the top 50. Rounding off Coventry, Colchester, Waterlooville in the UK, Charlotte, North Carolina 44th. Corpus Christi in Texas 45th. That might be Glennon, actually. Bristol in the UK. All the hipsters listening in.
Yeah, Glennon doesn't live in Texas.
Doesn't he? No?
No. He lives in North Carolina.
That might be Charlotte then, because they're 44th. Is MA Massachusetts?
Yeah.
There's Newburyport's in there, 47th. Boynton, Virginia, 48th. 49th is Hayes. And Hayes in the UK is literally like Hayes is 20 minutes from. I used to work in Hayes. Like that's 20 minutes down the road. I think I know who that might be. I'll get back to you on that one. But I used to work with him, Ricky. If you're watching,
calling people out.
I know it's boring in that part of the world in Hayes because trust me, it's a shithole. But yeah, like that's 20 minutes from my house. Seriously.
Calling out locations 20 minutes from your house is being shitholes, dude. That's not a safe call. That's not a safe call.
Good point. I'm going to die now. And Columbus, Ohio rounds off the list at number 50. So that's always fun. Let's have a quick look as well on top episodes. Let's have a look here. I'm going to scroll up. Yeah, top played tracks. I'll give you a quick top 10 of this one because this is always fun. For some reason, we don't quite know how, but episode 68 of Bike Live has now been played nearly 1,500 times.
What was on episode 68?
That was Danny Pedrosa's retirement announcement.
Okay.
I blame Zara for this.
Did she retweet it?
No, she didn't. But I mentioned during the joke, and she thought it was quite funny, which I thought was quite good. I'm so in there. Joking. But yeah, Bike Live 68 is top of the pile on nearly 1,500. For a good while, it was episode 34, World Champion Punditry, from the early days of the reboot with me, you, and Johnson. That was the episode from Bahrain 2016, I think, when Fernando Alonso ripped Johnny Herbert a new one for saying that Herbert was said to Fernando he should think about retiring. That episode did 814. So that's number 2. Number 3 was K-Mag and the Delta Wings, episode 27, which I believe was the IMSA 24-hour race when Catherine Legg did a brilliant job in the Delta Wing, and that was like the 4th episode of the Johnson era reboot, which I thought was quite interesting. Amazingly, Johnson, I don't think Shag, Marry, Killer's in here. It's not. It's 11th. It's just outside the top 10. A booty call to Ayrton Senna, episode 63. Yeah, that one. Just short of 700 plays, episode that's number 11 on our list, just outside the top 10. A lot of the early Johnson era episodes did really well, really well. His final appearance in the Johnson era, yeah, the Johnson era says, "Glad you got rid of that twat," he says in the chat. Jonty says, "I knew a girl in Hayes once, mega student parties. Oh my god, the world is coming together." Episode number 4 on the list, episode 70, Johnson's last appearance before he came back. Episode 70, the compulsory, overly cliched awards show. Home of my mega rant, 800 plays in 4th place. Not 5th on the list, episode 42, I'll Say Can You Rossi, the episode where Rossi won the Indy 500. That was episode 42. That's in 5th. Episode 6 was episode 32. At least the race was good. I'm going to find out what was on that episode. That was the race where Sky became the exclusive provider of F1. It was F1 considering returning elimination qualifying. And it was the Australian. It was the 2016 season opener as well. So Australia, where Haas scored points on debut. Esteban went over the top of Fernando's car. The first race that Pirelli had 3 tires for the weekend. And Nico Rosberg winning. Apparently that was a thing. So. Yeah, that was one. Yes, episode 17 was my epic rant against Sky Sports. Quite right. The rest of the number 7 on the list was our fantasy draft. The international fantasy draft was 7th on the list. Still probably my all-time favorite episode. Even if the outcome wasn't exactly favorable towards yours truly. But that was a really fun episode to record. The 5 of us. It was me, King, Johnson, Chris Cook, and Matt Carnero, formerly of MSTF1. That was a great episode. I do remember that one. That was a great time. And somehow I still didn't win. I'm still not salty about that one at all. 8th place, Mount Nivelt, the Shoot Your Shot episode. Episode 75, The Diamond. Behold Mount Nivelt, where we tried to basically the first Hall of Fame ballot that we had. It was a great episode. For pure content, that was one of our best ever shows. I loved doing Mount Nivelt. That was a great time. And they may have asked Addy Raceman out for a pizza date.
Never happened.
She's dating someone from the Denver Broncos.
How sad.
and she's now like a modern day hero. So you know, I'm happy for her. I'm glad she's fighting the good fight. Like, you know, I'm from on the background. I'm like, it's like I'm like the Rock gif. I'm clapping in the background. I'm happy that she's moved on to better things. So you know, I'm hurting deep down, but I'm happy for her. Ninth on the list, episode 67, the Grand Tour of Retirements. So us reviewing the first episode of the Grand Tour when that came out, and Audi's final WEC race. The 6 hours of Bahrain, that was. Also, I think the first hour of the show was all Keeping It 101. It was me and you talking about the first episode of the Grand Tour, Johnson going apeshit, basically saying he's not going to watch NASCAR anymore, and talking about Macau as well, which was fun. So yeah, that was a 2.25 hour episode. That was a fun one as well. Hashtag friendzoned in the chat. Thanks a bunch, Johnson. And number 10, Bernie ousted. The end of the Bernie Eccleston era.
God.
Episode 73 was number 10 on the list. It's over 700 plays. Bernie out as a CEO. Reflections on his legacy. Bottas being announced as the Rosberg replacement. Verline officially finally confirmed that Sauber. The Race of Champions was in there. The Monte Carlo Rally. And yeah, a preview for the Rolex 24 as well that year with Jeff Gordon showing up. That was fun. So that's 73. Some other notable ones in there. The Booty Call episode, that's of infamous fame, and I know Kelly's favorite episode. It was 11th on the list. The selfie episode, they're talking about when Hamilton was taking a selfie in the press conference, that was 15th, episode 61. The Autosport special was 21st. One of my personal favorites was 24th, the Rio 2016 Olympics special, where Johnson gets himself a restraining order against Laura Kenny. But yeah, a lot of the Johnson era shows did really well.
It's a sign. It's a sign.
Just saying, like, because the Johnson era was episodes 25 to 70 for the most part. And a lot of them are in this top 20, like 63, 31, 36, 40, 61, 74, 47, 39, 78, 68. Mantra and Administration was 72. That was 23rd on the list. Seb and the Seagulls was 44. That one's in there at 29. Like, yeah, so a lot of the Johnson era shows did really, really well, which I think is quite interesting. So that's fun. Like if you want to take it down to the last year, we get some more modern ones in there, like The Hangover 118. The Christmas special from 117 was in there quite high. That's what 500 plays, etc. So there's some of your favorites episodes. As Johnson goes in the chat, I'm not saying anything. But yeah, there's a lot of fun ones in there. A lot of the Johnson era is in there. Also, I love that Kenny goes regarding episode 63. I bet most of the 700 plays came from me. To be fair, like the last 10 minutes of that episode are probably the funniest in the history of our show. I have no doubt about that one. Yeah, some interesting stats on there as well. Which episode was your NASCAR rant? It was 67, I want to say, Johnson. It was the Grand Tour of Retirements, episode 67. It was Audi's last ever WEC race. If I remember correctly, I think it was 67. If I want to say on that one. But hey, we've actually overran a little bit here, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, we're going to wrap this up before we get out of here. Some quick shameless plugs. I'm on Twitter at Harrison101HD. If you're watching, you probably already knew that. Hi to all the new followers that have come in and said hi. Much appreciated. Hope you stick around for numerous amounts of sports banter in general, arseholery. For that one, Ryan is on Twitter at Ryan Eric King. That's with 2Ks. That's ERIK. It's the hipster way of spelling Eric. Not cancer, not. It's with a K, unfortunately. So go follow him on there if you haven't already, and tell him I sent you. You can listen to all our shows if you hear like what you hear. Like, what do we normally do? We do podcasts. It's quite fun. We lack eye candy, but we make up for it in takes. So you can follow us at motorsport101.com is our website. Our official podcast Twitter is at motorsport_101. And if you really like us, you can back us financially on Patreon. We're on patreon.com/motorsport101. $5 gets you early access to both this show, Major Motorsport 101, and Bike Live. Bike Live is back tomorrow. I'm going to set it up right now. It's going to be 6 p.m. tomorrow, episode 79, Matthias falls flat. And we talk for the first 20 minutes about one of the most shocking finishes I've ever seen in motorsport. Luca Matthias, a flat tire, a red flag, a 5-minute rule, and a non-classified finish. Trust me, you've got to hear the whole thing to quite believe just how ridiculous it is. All of that, plus reviews of World Superbikes weekend at Portimao, their return after a freaking 10-week summer break. Why do they have a 2.5-month summer break? It's stupid. So yeah, their review of their weekend at Portimao and British Superbikes round at Alton Park, the first round of the showdown. Jake Dixon taking 2 wins. And hey, it's more relevant now because Jake Dixon's going to Moto2 next year. Hey, he's joining the Angel and the Eto Moto2 team. So congrats to Jake Dixon on that one. But yeah, we'll be talking all about that on episode 79 of Bike Live. We are back roughly this time next week, episode 162. It'll be a full IndyCar season review. Me, King, RJ, and Krista Harley as well will all be on for that one. By episode 80 will also be roughly again this time next week, talking about all the action from MotoGP at Aragon tomorrow. So that'll just about do it from me and from Ryan King. Thank you so much. Still 21 of you in here, and it's 11:30 at night on British time. So thank you so much for sticking around.
West Coast. It's the West Coast.
The West Coast are out here doing the Lord's work on that one. So thank you all so much for watching, especially if you skip the Joshua fight to still listen to us. You guys are fucking great. Over 20 of you are still here. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll probably be able to do at least one more hangout next week because I've got next week off work. So I'm busy over the weekend, but first 4 days, I'll definitely find an evening, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, to maybe do a watch party. I still have Brazil 2012 on tap. So stay tuned for news about that one as well. Hopefully I'll free up an evening for that. But until then, thank you very much for watching tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you guys next time and probably see you on episode 162. Sayonara, everybody.
Bye.